I was just talking to my brother and trying to kick him in the butt to get things going in Connecticut.
Yeah, we've had it's been well, the weather's always seems a little unpredictable, at least since I've been here. But this year's been unusually cooler later in the season. It's been a little bit warmer on average this time of year in the past. So um, I'm a little bit late getting seeds out just because I mean we've still had some temps in the 30s and frost and stuff. So
Wow. So basically, all right, my goal this summer is to have like these the summer version of the event we did at the farm. Was that last year or the year before? But anyway, just like 30,
it was
40 people hanging out, having fun, maybe putting some conversations together, and then I'll hopefully be able to come back like in July and then August and September, and then once we have like okay, like I was just looking at uh like party tents. So hold on, let me give you a visual. Because if you remember having no cover in the winter.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun though. I mean, we had the fire
Yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
No, I mean it worked, but it's kind of like, what if it's like drizzling in the summer? So anyway, I was like looking at these, right? Um,
oh yeah, those are cool.
yeah. So my
Yeah.
brother is there. Oh my gosh, it's Chad Westport. Um, but my brother's on site right now measuring to figure out like, okay, could this logically go um, somewhere, because alternatively we could stack up some smaller ones. But anyway, so I'm looking at this stuff. Uh, I was gonna call Chef Alex because he in the past has wanted to be in charge of the food. So we have a grill there. Then I was like, it'd be cool to have like a wood pizza oven there, um, which obviously costs money. But if like my brother's gonna run a summer camp for kids out of there, and we'll have more events. So it's kind of like pulling stuff together now that could work for future events. We have the sound system, but with you specifically, I was like, it'd be cool one to do kind of a breeder panel. So like you and whoever else shows up. So I think Bob said he could make it. Copa, I think, can come. Um, Daz from Night Owl. Um, so it's
Nice.
kind of like whoever is there, just like, all right, let's shoot the shit. But one of the things I thought could be interesting is if, and this is kind of the cherry on top, but that Oxford, what is it? Oxford Nanopore? Is that the company?
Yeah, the nanopore.
Uh, like, do you have a contact there, or because you don't have one, do you?
Yeah, I have one.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
So you could bring it, and we could like show people how to use it and stuff like that, right? And like actually sample stuff.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, it
Yeah.
takes a
So
little
that.
while, to like. I don't know if we'd have enough time to like do a full like genome panel, but we might be able to sequence a few things. It takes depending on the complexity of what we're trying to sequence, we might could get through some samples. Yeah,
Yeah.
if nothing
So
else,
anyway,
we could go through the procedures and process of what it takes to you know the biggest thing is you've got to have plant material and doing the with any of the sequencing tools, it doesn't really matter how complex or how simple. The integrity of the data that you get is highly dependent on your procedural process and being able to fully extract the DNA you're wanting to sequence and make sure that that's clean. And so I would say that that step in the process is more important than actual sequencing. But we could go over all of it.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Like I think, you know, in addition to you guys just kind of sitting around and shooting the shit, it would be, you know, earlier. Like in my head, it's kind of if we targeted like a noon to 6 p.m. and then people can stay later and show up earlier, but generally
Yeah.
we're hanging out, smoking, and having good conversation and eating good food in the sweet spot of the day, and it gives people who are 3 hours, 4 hours away time to drive and but
Yeah.
and then I
I think
talked
that's a great
to
idea.
I talked to John Grospace Killa yesterday about, you know, put like who doing like a hash panel, right? And then the third thing I was thinking about was some sort of, if they're the equivalent of like the Catalyst bioamendment crew on the East Coast to do like a composting workshop, like a 3 hour
Oh,
workshop or 2 hours, or hugel beds, or, you know, even scouting for, you know, greenhouse preparation or whatever.
yeah, it's
Um,
I'm in the process of I just cleared off an extra like acre and a half to put up some additional greenhouse space. Been cutting trees and grading the land and all that shit.
oh, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of
So
work. Like it's I mean, especially if you're doing it by yourself, it's you
and
know,
do you know what they
and
picked the
there's a
green?
lot of skills that, and it's, you know, can be dangerous because if you're, you know, obviously running a chainsaw and you're cutting down large trees, and so it's you got to be careful, but it's a lot of fun.
How do you pick
I think hugel culture would be cool. I don't know if you can still hear me, but
yeah.
um,
Sorry, can you not hear me? You know what I just realized is my audio maybe. I know it's going through. You can hear me, right?
yeah, I could hear you. I didn't know if you could hear me when you had walked off.
Okay.
But, but I was
No, I
saying
mean,
that the hugel, like doing the hugel beds is cool, and then you know I'd be happy to talk too about like
Cheddar
doing the
Bob
land.
should road trip down from Maine.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Like doing the land clearing and identifying good spots for sun exposure, all that. Like um, it's, you know, it'll make or break you picking the right spot. Um, and there's some cool apps you can get now for your phone that'll really help you. Um, you know, like SunSpotter and stuff, like help you determine um, where the sun location is going to be at any given time of the year, things like that. The hugelculture bed's a cool one because the greenhouse I'm doing now, it's 3,000 square feet, it's 30 by 100. It's going to be
What
strictly hugel.
what manufacturer?
This Hortitech
Okay.
out of Lone Pine, I believe they're in Lone Pine, out in Oregon. Um, it's light deprivation greenhouse. It's really well made. I'm
Yeah, I'm looking
impressed.
at them right now. Hortitech. Yeah, I mean, there's Rimmel. So I mean, I think that would be a cool, easy, like kind of doing like a walk around the property with like you and, let's say we got a Rimmel or the, I can't remember the Connecticut guys,
Gross
a
Bam?
green yeah, a greenhouse kind of, like if Eric Brandstat were in the area, I'd be like, Eric, fucking come over.
Yeah,
uh, but basically having someone come and like walk around. So Michael, right, and then you, who's further ahead in the process and has been through the rodeo before, and then the greenhouse guy, and that would be a cool, easy whoever wants to walk around with us can walk. Otherwise, just keep doing whatever you're doing.
Right.
Um, but it's like walking
And
through all the the
that
like
would be cool
things to
too.
think about.
Yeah, because one, like in your situation, and for most people who have, like, if they've got, you don't even really have to have a ton of land. It's a cool thing. Like if you're exploring hugel beds, being able to go out into a forested area and identify like logs of interest, maybe some oak that's fallen on the ground that's been there for a little while, like that's ideal choice for your hugel beds and being able to pick out, you know, because what I've been doing hugel beds in Mass since I've been here, so for 6 years, and then I was doing hugel beds in Oregon, and then even before that back home in Alabama. But the quality of the material you put into the hugel bed makes a huge difference in the success of it. I mean, eventually over time, it's going to do pretty well regardless. But like that first like 2 years can be, kind of hit or miss. And it really depends on the quality of the material you put in the bed. But dude, I mean, the past 6 years have been some of the most productive for me because and it substantially reduces like the amount you have to
Water.
devote to watering, nutrient application. I mean, mine at this point is pretty much just set it and forget it. Like I just put plants in the ground and walk away from them. I don't have to worry about nutrients. I don't have to worry about microbes. I do a couple of foliars just because I want to feel like I'm doing something, I guess, like, and but it's a very um, sustainable way to grow, and you're building your soil ecology up, improving your land, getting rid of a bunch of dead trees you don't need. I think it'd be a great thing to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, that sounds like an easy to do, fun, good first one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chad has a question.
So that's a great question. So the hugelculture beds are built with um, both green material and older dead carbon source, like oak, birch, mostly hardwoods. I
That's what I
very
was gonna
rarely
ask.
put
Yep.
softwood
Softwood.
trees in my hugel beds. I mean, I will if I have to, but it's not my favorite because they decay so quickly. They can cause some acidity problems and things like that. But oak, it's the number one choice if it's available. Birch, hickory, mulberry is even pretty good, but there's some concerns with mulberry. You don't want to do just mulberry, but that's usually never a problem. So over time, you once you get the bed built, and you inoculate it initially, that like as soon as you build it, you're inoculating the different layers. Like it's kind of like I kind of use like a lasagna layer approach to mine, and I will inoculate each of those layers with different microbes, and those microbes will persist so long as they have food, and they are continuously breaking down the hardwood and green leaf material that's in there. And over the years, you could come back and add cover crops. And I do cover crops on the top of my beds, and then I cut that down and work that in the top. So that's one of the ways that the nutrients get replenished. The nutrient cycling from the winter cover crops and spring cover crops. Um, but it's ultimately the decomposition of the material that you put in the ground that is supplying the nutrients by decomposition. And oak, I will occasionally dig up part of a bed just to like see what's going on down there out of curiosity, like what's happening to this oak log that I put in, or how are these layers
3 years
decomposing over
ago.
the years. And you can kind of start to see. I mean, visibly, you'll see in the first like 2 or 3 years, you'll have a pretty large pile, and then it starts to kind of slowly go from 3, 4 feet high down to 2 feet, a foot, and then it's almost back down to ground level after like 5 or 6 years. But when you get down in there, like there's just so much activity going on with bacteria and fungi. Um, it's pretty remarkable. But the nutrient cycling process comes from the stored nutrients that are. It's kind of like if you make potash, right? Like if you burn wood and you take that ash from that wood, it's got a lot of nutrients, a lot of minerals in that ash. Um, Microbes breaking that down, creating the breaking the cellulose down, making the cellulose available, carbon source, phosphorus. The nitrogen primarily comes though from the cover crop. I'd say of all the things that you have to worry about replenishing in the hugel beds is the nitrogen, that green matter. But again, pretty easy to do with a rye cover crop, or mung
I was
beans
gonna
work
ask.
pretty
Yeah,
well.
I like.
Crimson
Yeah.
clover, red clover,
Then you can
very low
ferment the
maintenance.
mung beans.
Yeah, I do. Just do a very simple cover crop. It takes about an hour to go out there and put the seeds down and rake it, put a sprinkler on it. But usually in the spring we get enough rain, you don't even have to worry about that. I used to do. I used to, I'd spread hay on top just to protect the seed that I would put down for the cover crop. But I've quit doing that. Really, just because it started introducing. If I couldn't guarantee where that hay source was coming from, I was worried about
Yeah.
potential pesticides that may have been sprayed or powdery mildew, things like that. I've noticed since I got rid of doing um, the straw mulch that I haven't really had any issues with powdery mildew or septoria.
Yeah.
The
Well,
worst
well,
septoria outbreak.
yeah, I mean, the cover crop handles the same function, right? I mean, obviously, maybe not in year one where it's more bare, but at some point you're gonna have kind of coverage. Like I have tons of radishes growing outside, and I let them all um, go to seed pods, so I have all the woodiness from the top
Yeah,
part that I lay that like that's what I usually cover as much soil surface as possible with stuff like the arugula. Like I just chop back all the shit that's growing in my garden, and
let it lie.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the first year when I do my hugel beds, the first year I will usually put some kind of like powdered amendment um, in the holes with the plants to give them that initial kind of burst of nutrients as they get going. And I'll taco a little bit of nutrients in there. I've gotten now to where I'm making like new hugel beds. I'll let them sit for the first year before I plant in them. That way the green matter that I've put in there has some time to decompose and it doesn't get too hot for the roots. Because I've had that problem where putting too much, leafy green stuff in there and too much nitrogen, it gets the soil temps just get a little bit too hot for the roots. And I've not lost any plants due to that, but I've definitely noticed like stunted plants. So the letting them sit for a year if you can. It's not necessary. I would just say if you're not going to let them sit that first year, cut back on the amount of green material you put in those like outer 2, 3 layers. But I mean, for me, it's really changed the way I grow outdoors for sure.
So sorry, do you currently have any greenhouses set up on your property, or you
Yeah,
is this the
this will be an addition. Yeah,
so how many do you have right now?
this will be the third.
The third, okay. And then we
Yeah.
talked in the past. So with the existing two, have you done any of the like climate batteries slash like compost pile on the outside slash the sand batteries? Like, have you done any of the
I
stuff?
haven't. Yeah, I'm doing the compost stuff right now, and did so over this past winter. Made
And
made a
and
huge.
is it around three walls, or is it like do you start on kind of like the north
Yeah,
wall, and then
so I'm doing mine primarily inside the greenhouse in the walkways, and then just kind of walking it down,
okay.
and it's made a significant improvement overall in just temperature stability. Even if we're not running heat at all, we can maintain a temperature well above freezing in there.
But
Um,
so but are you like in the summer? Do you have the compost going in there, or do you take it out in the summer and then it's at a specific time that you're starting to build up the
well,
compost
yeah,
piles in the greenhouse?
this will be my first summer with the compost going in this particular greenhouse. I'm actively backing off of adding any additional material to, and we'll be removing back some of that to using the hugel beds that I'm building now. And probably not going to need it, but I'll start, probably around September, rebuilding the system.
Got it.
Yeah, and that way the composting will kind of
As
get
those
going by
crisp New
12
England
months.
fall nights start hitting,
Yeah, yeah.
that
And then
I miss on the West
one
Coast.
thing we're also doing this year is adding um, along the back wall because it's kind of terraced where I have the greenhouse. It's terraced a little bit, and there's an old retaining wall. You know how the rock walls are all over New England from the farming years ago. We noticed that those things hold a significant amount of heat even during the wintertime, as long as they can get some sun exposure. So I've been building large rock walls around the greenhouses on the outside, not structural, but just for heat retention. And then we're going to try to build a ground to air heat transfer system um, for this greenhouse that's going in now as well. We're actually
Sorry,
digging
like
out
a
the pit.
climate battery?
Yeah, basically. So if you look at, I don't know if they're still around, but there was a company called Ceres Greenhouse, Ceres, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, and Ceres, one of the things that made them really unique was they had this kind of proprietary GAT system, GHAT, ground to air heat transfer. And they built this, and I don't know if they, you know, maybe they had tweaked a previous idea or if they came up with it, but it seems like that idea has been around for quite a while. But, with geothermal systems and such, but they put about 4 to 6 feet down, depending on where you're at. It's pretty large tubing. They would pull the hot air from the top of the greenhouse down into the soil, store that heat, but it also cools that humid air that's coming through. And I've done smaller systems just as test in other greenhouses, and even if it's not about thermal storage, yeah, there you go. Even if it's not about thermal storage, like one of the things that I noticed is that it is a very efficient and very effective dehumidification tool. Like, even if you don't get any heating or cooling from the system, if you were to just take that out, the thermodynamic component out completely, and look strictly at maintaining relative humidity in the greenhouse, this system, I mean, you can almost reduce your humidity too low with this system. And all you need is, I mean, really, you could run it off of a 12-volt fan. All you're doing is pulling that hot, humid air from the top of the greenhouse, circulating that down below. The moisture is pulled out of the air as it condenses on the pipe wall. You kind of set those pipes up like you would a leach field for a septic system. You put gravel and sand
Where
so
the
that
water can
moisture
get
can,
out of them. Yeah.
yep, water can settle at the bottom of that pipe and get out of there. And we're actually, the piping that I'm using for this system is just 4-inch perforated drain pipe you know, um, for a septic system. And then we've got, I think it's a 10 or 12-inch header pipe that all those feeder tubes go back and forth between. It's relatively simple. I guess the most complicated process and part of it is just being able to dig out, you know, basically like a basement for your
Right.
greenhouse.
Well, so
Yeah.
that's what with my brother I want to check out in Connecticut to see if it's just all rock like right under the ground everywhere or if there's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and two, you can build up. If you like, there's a part of this greenhouse build where we ran into some shelf. Um, I was able to get an attachment for the backhoe that is a hydraulic like chisel that I was able to chip off some of that shelf, but it still was, there's a mixture of where I'm at. There's like a mixture of slate and granite and schist. The schist is very easy to remove, but the granite, it's
yeah,
pretty substantial.
that's
Um, and so like it was just like, well, I can continue beating on this thing for the next 2 months trying to clear out this, or I because I was
well,
already down 3 feet at that point, and I was like, well, I could stop here. It's only a small portion, and I could just use some, loose fill and build the greenhouse up an additional foot. And so that's what I ended up doing because it was quicker and easier to do a little bit of grading work than it was to try to remove that shelf that was in the ground. That bedrock's it's pretty tough to move. I think knowing where your farm's at, I think you know, you could probably identify a place um, to do that. You might have to do a little bit of cut and fill, like maybe do kind of a terrace where you cut off the high side, pull back down to the low side, and that would give you enough headspace to do a GAT system. Um, but from the tests that we did on a greenhouse over in New York, um, you'd have a hard time arguing with me about the efficiency and that it wouldn't be worth the effort to put one in. Just from the humidity perspective alone, not
yeah.
to mention,
Well,
during the fall and winter time having the, benefits um, of the thermal side as well. One of the cool things I like about the Hortitech greenhouses, especially the ones like I have where it has the internal light deprivation, is being able to kind of like our greenhouses are arranged where the long side's facing south, and so I can roll the inside black out, and that helps hold in a ton of heat during the day that persists well into the night. And so during the wintertime, that, it's not uncommon to have 90-degree temps, even when it's like, 20 degrees outside.
well, so the holy grail for my brother would be if he could have like mangoes and bananas and stuff like that growing there. So I love
Yep.
your like kind of stacking ideas on top of each other to have them all working together to keep it in kind of like a nice ambient
Yeah.
room
I mean,
temperature.
we still supplement a little bit with propane. It's not nearly as much as I thought it would be.
Right.
Um, and then I want to add some additional um, a small. I've got a 48 by 25 that I want to use as a test spot for adding a thermal loop system for heat during the winter using like the water heater, solar water collectors,
Yeah.
and run that through a thermal loop and see how well that works. I met with a guy that's an engineer at UMass Amherst and discussed, the feasibility of doing that. And it, we get enough sun in New England during the wintertime. Um, it's more about sun exposure at your location than it is really about whether there's going to be enough thermal energy or not. And so, where I'm at in the kind of out in the woods, um, that's the biggest problem I have is just making sure I get enough sun exposure during the daytime.
Stopped talking just as I walked outside to discover that I had already packed the bowl.
I think
Oh. Josh hit the wrong button. And he's back.
I was trying to do something, and I forgot if I don't do my split screen because I'm on my phone. I can do a split screen. But yeah, the green. I think I'm gonna switch. Like I'll still do some full season outdoor stuff, but I think I'm gonna switch mostly strictly to greenhouses moving forward. It just is,
Makes
you
things
know.
easy.
What is this thing doing? Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure my audio was working. But the greenhouse method has worked much better than I thought it would in New England. Like I thought that the winter time was going to be something that, maybe I could get an extra season out. Like, maybe I could get all but maybe 3 months. And, and I think if I didn't have any of the additional stuff, like, the rock walls that I was talking about, like that's made a huge difference. Just the amount of heat that they retain, the compost made such a remarkable difference. Um, Adding in this GAT system to control humidity, I think my overall efficiency will be really hard to beat if we're looking at this from a cost per pound or cost per gram production. You know, if you're looking at it commercially, and you're saying, okay, hey, what does it cost me to do this indoors versus this greenhouse method? I don't think there's any comparison anymore.
Actually, this
And
this. Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, especially now, like the one big thing that I've noticed in the commercial environment, and even whether it's commercial or hobby or home grow or whatever, the one big differentiator between indoor and greenhouse is the ability to control environment. Like indoors, you have like really granular control of every aspect of your environment if you're set up properly. And in the greenhouse, it's been a little bit less so. Yes, you can still control your environment, but you have less control over humidity, less control over temps than you do indoors. But with some of these newer systems and dialing them in properly, I'm achieving, you know, temperature and humidity control that is very close to what I can do indoors.
Yeah. Uh, I would much rather grow. I mean, in LA, I love it because I can grow outside, and then like if I need to cover something because there's a rain, it's pretty easier. I like pull shit closer to the edge of the house, or but yeah, to have the fall. Why and then like in NorCal you have the fires too, so it kind
Yep.
of
Yep.
it's
Barbecue
like
bud.
it's like just when you're like the rains didn't pummel me, it's like
Yeah, we dealt with that up in Mendocino and also in Southern Oregon as well,
I forgot. Okay,
which
so
I'll be honest with you, we've already had a couple of pretty decent sized brush fires here this year
in
in New England.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, kid you not, man. There was one down the road from our place, smoke going everywhere, and I was just like, Jesus, man,
Sorry, last summer or like over
this
the
year already. That we
hasn't
had
there
some
been
last
tons
summer
of
that
snow and That's wild.
Yeah, I went from like, snow on the ground for 6 months to bone dry in like a month. It was pretty wild.
Well, my shock is you saying the fires were recent because I feel like there's been so much snow this winter where and it melts, right? Like it snows 2 feet, then it melts. So I'm surprised that the ground got that dry.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in a persistent, from what I've, the meteorologists and the systems are saying, we've been in a persistent drought for
Nice.
a decade. And I think this year we got enough snow precipitation to get us out of that drought phase, but it's still, um, it's still dry. Like we're not getting as much rain
Yeah, I
as
mean,
normal.
in SoCal, it's interesting because even when you get like when you start having these torrential downpours and all the life on all the kind of mountainous, like in the Malibu hills and the valley, and um, it gets so lush and green, but then it all dies and becomes tinder.
Yeah, I used to see that in Central Valley in California. I lived in Reno and was driving over to Mendocino when we were building the farm over there. And I remember driving through like Yolo and Williams and up through Clear Lake. And during the spring, it's this, just green and lush and just, I mean, the most beautiful thing. Creeks running, overflowing with water. By August, I remember driving through there worried that two tree limbs were going to rub together and spark a fire. It was so dry. It's such a stark difference.
Yeah, no, it is beautiful. Like when you have the California, the sea of California poppies on the side of a mountain,
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
and everything's lush and green and happy. How is the cheeseburger? Ooh, chicken. Or are you going even healthier and it's fish?
No, it's a spicy chicken sandwich. And you know how it
not
is.
a
Look
fish
at it.
fillet.
Do I need to tell you how it is? It's fucking delicious.
I like to go
How's
heavy
everybody
on the
doing?
sauces.
Good to see y'all.
I'm good. I like that Josh was talking and I got super high while he was talking, so I'm in a good place.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Just trying to get some of these seed trays watered in for the summer.
Oh,
We got
so what did you plant or what are you planting this year?
vegetable wise, a ton of stuff, man. I'm kind of going ham. I've been doing some pepper breeding projects. We're keeping some heirloom tomatoes and okra varieties going that my granddad
Will you
developed.
bring some pepper seeds to Connecticut?
I can, yeah, if you're interested. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
You like super hot stuff or mild stuff?
I
What are you
like it
after?
all. I mean, I'm growing Scotch bonnets outside right now. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I like the spectrum. I was thinking my
Okay.
brother could grow them
Yeah.
in
Yeah. I'll bring you
Connecticut.
some. The super, super spicy ones are a little finicky, but they're worth the effort. I did some Carolina Reapers and stuff last year. Um, they're, they're they're more of a novelty thing to me. Like they're kind of hard to enjoy when they get that hot. But Scotch bonnets and habaneros and stuff, I love growing those. I'm doing a bunch of those and jalapenos and stuff this year. Several different types of jalapenos and um, jatobas and some others. We've got a bunch of different types of lettuce and cucumbers, um, cantaloupes, watermelons, all that kind of stuff. and then trying to get into growing some asparagus. That is a
I like
much more
asparagus.
challenging crop, you know.
Really, not in LA. In LA.
Yeah, yeah,
It keeps coming every time you chop it. It pops back up and it never dies.
yeah. It's Hadley. We're right here close to Hadley, and so it's pretty famous for its asparagus. But yeah, just going pretty wild. And then on the cannabis side, I'm just continuing some breeding projects that I've been working on for a while. Some type 2 stabilization work, um, some type 1 and type 3 stuff as well. Um, the type 3 stuff I'm trying to work on just improving overall cannabinoid output with a variety of different terpenes, kind of continuing to focus on improving diversity in the type 3 market. And then with the type 2s, these are more of the chemotype conversion lines that I'd done years ago that I'm trying to stabilize as type 2s. Stabilizing type 2s are challenging because when you breed a true type 2 to itself, you don't get true type 2s in the offspring. You get a combination of type 1s, type 2s, and type 3s, right?
Okay.
And
it's
so,
it's like Russian roulette for the end user.
yeah. And so I'm get, um, trying to get a couple of lines that have shown some promising results of leaning toward the type 2 chemotype across the population. And it just comes down to being able to fix those genes in such a way as that they're stable. But it's eluded me, and it's just a challenge, personal challenge, I guess, to myself to try to you know try to make it happen. I mean, it's easy enough to make a type 2 generation just by taking the type 3 and type 1 and breeding them together. That's going to reliably produce type 2 offspring. But it's more what happens with the next generation if you were to continue to work from that, second generation and on. Um,
So you just, I mean, to me, this also implies tons of testing, right? Like, so, which is a cost.
oh yeah, yeah. It's
So,
a lot of chemotype testing. One of the cool things with we've got I use SRI 8610C mainly for my cannabinoid and terpenoid testing. The cool thing about testing the type 2s is you don't have to wait till you fully flower those out to start, or any of the other plants really. Even with like type 3s, I can test those as seedlings when they're, about 3 nodes, 4 nodes in. And I might not be able to determine the total end potency of the plant, but what I can do is I can take the ratio of THC to CBD and determine whether or not these will stay compliant under the rules for any given location, right? Like Europe, some places have zero point 0.2 total. US, we're still 0.3. It'd be awesome if they change this to 1% because it would open up a lot of, new work, but
yeah.
whatever. But with the type 2s, you can kind of do the same thing. You get about the third, fourth node, there's enough cannabinoids present that you can determine ratios. You're not going to know whether it's going to come out 10% or 20 or whatever. But you can at least know because those ratios stay the same. They don't change, right? Like it doesn't matter if the plant's in vegetative state or if it's full flower. If it's a 20-to-1, CBD to THC ratio, that's what it's going to be when it finishes flowering. And type 1s are the same as well. or type 2s rather are the same as well. Type 1s, I've not found a real reliable mechanism for testing those, other than to say that if you test a plant when it's pretty young, say 4 or 5 nodes, and you see a percentage pop out that's like, 1% at that age, like those are ones to keep your eye on for potency if that's what you're after. Because those usually end up being the ones that have the highest potency. Yeah, the SRI unit, I started using those back in like 2016, 2017. They
Sorry,
are,
do you have one of these, or you
yeah,
know someone who
no.
got it?
I've had one of
Whatever you
those
think.
for over a decade. One of the cool things that I really
You can come next month just with all your equipment and do
put
a show and
control
tell.
over, yeah. So the SRI units are, and they've got a couple different models. Like they did the 420 model, and that just was focused on cannabinoids and
How
stuff.
big is this, like a small
It's a desk.
trunk?
No, yeah, I mean it's about, I'd say it's like 18, maybe 20 inches wide by about 12, 14 inches deep, and maybe 12, 14 inches tall. Like it's small enough to put
Robust.
on a desktop. Like you don't need an enormous. It's about like a microwave. Is what I would compare it to. Right? It's about the size of a microwave. And so, but the cool thing about the SRI units are they are really bulletproof. They're incredibly cheap to operate. They're safe to operate for the most part. And you can rebuild practically the entire thing. Like if there's any component of that thing that breaks, you don't have to have a level of expertise of mechanical efficiency. Like you don't have to be an ASE certified mechanic to pull the column out and put a new column in, or to replace the FID detector, like, or even the main computer board that's in there. It's 4 screws. Take the case off and you take the 4 screws out of the board and you send it back to them, and they'll send you a new one. Like the columns are pretty cheap, like the MX500 columns. Everything. I'd say probably the most annoying thing with those, but this is going to be the same with every, like, GC or HPLC, is going to be the injectors that you use. They're very small, 1 microliter, and it's got a very thin needle, and so it takes some practice getting used to pushing the needle through the plunger without just absolutely messing up the applicator's needle. It'll bend really easy, and once it's bent, it's kind of crap. And those things are $50 a pop. So, but other than that, I've loved that thing. I've got terpene column plus the cannabinoids, and you can, instead of having to pay a lab $500 to run a sample, or even 200, it cost me about a nickel
No, I
in
was gonna
20
say
minutes.
that's huge.
I have a question. Can I ask a question, sir?
Yeah.
Of course.
I don't mean
I
to
saw
interrupt.
that. I saw. By the way, I saw your hand go up earlier. I was like,
I didn't want to
he's
interrupt.
raising his hand. To ask
I have like all these
questions.
questions coming up. I want to. Did I understand you correctly? Like early on, when the plant, say you're sorting through large groups of plants and you're looking for specific brand X terpenes and cannabinoids, whatnot, that are effective versus ones you don't want. You could eliminate plants right off the bat that aren't going to have it no matter what in the end, just at like 4 or 5 nodes. Is that correct? Like that consistent.
Yeah.
Okay, that's big time. That's big time.
Yeah. For us, it was a huge, a huge tool to be able to use and to realize that consistency.
You save you growing out thousands of plants looking for specific content.
Right. Yeah. And so it's like, the time it takes to grow, from seed to finished plant, the effort in harvesting a plant, drying a plant, curing a plant, storing, all of that. Like you can eliminate, depending on the goal of your project, you could eliminate 90% of the labor load and the cost of doing that by being able to identify those traits much earlier on. What I've found in using genomic data combined with the chemical data from like the GC, it's invaluable. It's an invaluable tool that, and I'm not going to say 100% that you probably absolutely are going to miss out on something cool by culling so many plants, but at the same time, if what, that cool miss, like 1 in a million plant that pops up, if it's not part of your end goal breeding project, I guess you kind of got to weigh the.
In my situations, it's invaluable what you just said. Like I could care less if it's cool or unique. I need the stuff that works as a medicine versus the stuff that does not. And you'd have to, sometimes it all doesn't. But
right.
That would be invaluable in narrowing down groups of offspring. Like say, you're running flats of offspring from seed progeny, and then you could immediately identify the ones that have a chance of having what you're going for in it. Like that's, I never even knew that was even a possibility. That's new to me.
Yeah.
How much material do you need? So hypothetically, if I could send you 5 or 6 different samples from a leaf or a branch, like how much material does it need?
I usually will, I'll let my plants get up, where they've got, usually you got your cotyledons that come out in the first set of true leaves. And after that, usually get a set of, 3-fingered leaves, and then 5, and then so on. So I usually let it get up till that first set of 5, or maybe second set of 5 or 7 leaflet fan leaves. And then usually I'll take that top node that has those 2 larger leaves, and that's enough for a sample. You don't need, one of the cool things, like if you look at SRI's kind of SOP for sampling finished product, they want you to use a 30 mil vial. You dilute, to 30 mils, and you put about a gram of sample, a 1/10 of a gram of sample in there. But if there's no point in running that level of dilution, where you can dissolve, 1/10 of a gram and put it in, especially when you're looking for much smaller concentrations and you want the peak to be larger. So essentially what you do is you just reduce the amount of solute that you put in there. That's going to increase the overall concentration of the cannabinoids to a level that has a higher accuracy of detection within the system. So instead of running 30 mils, I'll run 10 mils, and that gives me basically a 3x amplification on the cannabinoids, where I can have a much higher resolution on the graph and say, okay, this again, because I'm not looking at potency so much as I am the ratio. I really don't care what the potency is, but looking at the ratio, that's what's important, especially for type 3 and type 2 stuff, where ratio determines, whether I move forward or scrap a project. Or
when
what
you say
direction.
Ratio, do you, in addition to ratio, rather, like, do you mean like even if it exists in a ratio of 0, or if there is a percentage of this there, and the kind of thing?
So for what I'm specifically talking about ratios, like I'm looking for a lot of different things, but I'm in most of these breeding projects I'm talking about, I'm specifically looking at ratios of like THC to CBD. But one of the other tools that I've found that's been incredibly useful when you're doing this screening, like especially when I'm doing type 2 work, a lot of times I'll take a type 1 and type 2 and combine those. And the combination isn't always just a 1-to-1 of CBD to THC, and those are the only 2 cannabinoids that I notice. Like we're testing for about a dozen cannabinoids. So if there's any concentration of those cannabinoids present at, a detectable level, they're going to show up in the graph. And you're probably going to get some peaks of cannabinoids that you may not be testing for, but they are known. And it's not too difficult to do the math. It's a little bit of calculus, but there's computer programs now that you just take your chromatograph from the GC, you put it into the system, and it will do the math for you, like, much quicker than you can do it. And it's very accurate. And that will allow you to go look at standard and knowns for other cannabinoids that we might not be, having standards for. Because what you have to do initially is to calibrate the system. Is you order a set of standards from somebody like ResTech or Sigma Aldrich or whoever. They'll send you the standards. You can do them individually, or you can do them as a mixture. Either way, six in one hand, half a dozen in the other, right? As long as you do the calibration method properly, it's going to come out right. But you've got a dozen cannabinoids that you've got standards for. And so when you inject your sample, the system is going to compare those peaks to the standards that you have calibrated the system for. Any peak that falls within the calibration range is going to be identified as that compound. Anything that is out of that range, it'll be identified as an unknown. We know we're going to have at a minimum usually three compounds show up on a graph. One of them is going to be the acetone. The next will be THC, and then usually some CBD. However, there's usually other cannabinoids that show up. Like I've found one of the THCV, one of the variant crosses that I've been working the past couple of years, came out of a type 2 cross that I had no idea that variants were going to pop up, because there were no variants detectable in even the finished flower or at any stage of life for either of the two parents, which to me was remarkable. I'm like, okay, well, how, there's no variants in either of the parents. How are these showing up in the offspring? And it just comes back to the recombination and amplification of those genes during the breeding process. And it's not every individual that's showing it, but it's, specific ones. And it usually is in a given ratio of the population that have those. And then we've been able to go through and identify specific genetic markers to identify those traits, but also to tag those traits to specific phenotypic expressions that the plants have. So we grow a population of these. You can basically walk through a field and point like, okay, this one is a variant, that one's a variant, these are not, and you could mark them simply because we've been able to tag certain phenotypic traits that are expressed only in the variant dominant plants. So that's one benefit that I've definitely utilized using this equipment.
Just quickly, in that example, variant expression would be a recessive trait in the parents,
or could be codominant or there's a lot of different genetic mechanisms taking place that could cause the expression of variants where it was not seen in either of the parents. The variant genes could have been silenced in the parents by some enzymatic mechanism or mutated metabolic pathway, or there could be lack of precursor enough such that the variant pathways become activated, and in the offspring, the recombination of two weakened gene pools combined in such a way that it promotes the production of the variants. But
almost like an environmental factor that teaches the seeds like a survival tactic. Is that, do you know what I mean?
Or kind of more the plants. Like I think it's more, honestly, I'm starting to think it's more like epigenetic. I think there's some epigenetic factors, taking place. Some of the plants exposed to certain environmental stressors respond in certain ways.
That's
we've
kind
been, yeah,
that's what I mean. Like certain, like the plant growing in one environment that it wouldn't do well in another. The seeds, it might put off a certain amount of seeds that would survive in that same environment, and some that would be. Like, I'm not asking the question like, I mean, but you answered it. You answered it
but
anyway.
I think I'm getting, I kind of know where you're heading with that. And that one thing that's pretty cool is we've been playing around with exposing seeds to different duration of UVC, UVB, and UVA exposure, just out of curiosity to see what happens. Right, UVC radiation is known as a mutagen. So we're interested in like what happens if we can create random mutations in the genome, and how are those genes expressed. And so UVC exposure to the seeds has triggered some interesting results for sure. Like we've seen these random mutations pop up that are otherwise unexplainable. We've seen increased vigor in plants, reduced germination times, but we've also seen some negative effects too. Like we've overdosed seeds on UVC, and saw all kinds of crazy mutations take place where the seeds are all knurled and wonky when they come out of the cotyledons are all funky, so it's like some deleterious effects for sure. But the goal with that project is really to try to cause genetic mutation to occur in a way that produces a beneficial outcome. And we've done it with a couple of different, the UVC. We've also treated seeds with different chemicals to see what happens.
My next question is going to be about biology, to the same regard, like your soil biology. Like I've got seeds from a lot of plants that aren't really that high quality plants that'll pop real fine in my real rich compost. But any nice packs and stuff with better genetics, I have to start them in some milder soil first, or it'll eat them right off the gate. There's a big pattern there, and I wonder if that same kind of thing can trigger different cannabinoids and all the stuff you're looking for. And if you could see markers early on and know what's causing what, those mutations. Does that make sense? Is it only light, or anything? Are you saying that it's not just light you could use, but you could use other stuff to manipulate outcomes? That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, so this is interesting that you bring this up, because this was something I briefly discussed in a previous show I was on, I think a couple weeks ago. And I've been playing around with biochar for years and years, and inoculating biochar with different microbes.
Same here. I've been burning out the inside of stumps, different types of stumps, and I've been adding mushroom waste from spent mushroom blocks into the stumps and planting in them. And it taught me that I didn't know anything about what I was doing, because the outcome's incredible. Like, I didn't mean to. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. So what I've noticed over the years, and what initially made me really interested in this, is I had a CBD dominant plant that we called just vanilla cherry blossom. It was a cherry blossom female that was a beautiful plant. It had, in the mornings, about the time the sun come up, I would be out walking the fields, and I would stop and smell this plant every morning. It was the first plant on one of the rows that started that cultivar. And every morning when I would smell that plant, it had this just overwhelming, undeniable smell of vanilla, which I thought was pretty crazy, because I'd grown several varieties that were supposed to be vanilla dominant, and maybe you could get a kind of a hint if you really stretched your imagination. But this thing just had such an overwhelming smell of vanilla. It was remarkable. Like everybody that come over, I'd be like, "You got to smell this thing. What do you smell?" But by the evening, the smell would kind of fade, and I believe it to be, a very light terpene profile that evaporated pretty quickly. And over the day, that change would kind of go back to that kind of dominant cherry profile that the strain had. When I brought that cut out to Massachusetts, completely gone. The vanilla profile was just completely gone. And I ended up sending a cut back to Oregon, Southern Oregon, for some friends to grow, to see if something had happened. Maybe I made a mistake and got the wrong cut or something like that. Nope. It just had to do with where it was grown and when. Vanilla terpene profile still there, still dominant, but just there. And so that got me thinking, like, okay, there's something's going on here, right? Like something, be it the climate, or I think it's something going on in the soil biology. So I started playing around with inoculating biochar with a bunch of different populations and combinations of microbes. And I was talking to this guy, Amit, who's the department head of, he used to be the department head of biology at Washington State, but now he's at Texas A&M of the ag department. And he's been working on biochar stuff for years and years. Had a company, biochar company, and they made phenomenal biochar. But I noticed using biochar to inoculate substrate, the composition of microbes had such an unbelievable impact on the outcome of the chemotype of the plant that we got to the point where we were able to determine that if a certain species of bacteria or fungus was found in the substrate, that it would cause the plants to produce a dominant terpene, or it would increase cannabinoid profile. We were seeing like some plants producing CBC. In other instances, they would not. And we were able to identify that if you combine these three microbes together, it will cause this plant to produce CBC, where if you eliminate those, or if you only have two of them, then it will not. Right. And so that's been something that, I mean, that's an ongoing thing that we're doing, constantly testing different microbial populations, isolating microbes. So this year I've got using like the IMO method. I was able to get a bunch of cultures from Oregon, from that farm where I used to be, shipped out to me here. I've got them inoculating, growing. Some of those have been speciated and isolated, but just as a whole, I've got a batch of soil that's now been inoculated with those microbes. I'm going to put that vanilla cut back in there and see if I can get that vanilla profile back. If I can, for me, that's going to settle any debate I had as to whether this was environmental or microbial issue.
I don't have any of the scientific background that you do, but I definitely, after listening to you talk, I've got confirmation bias about what I believe to be happening in these beds. Like a certain bed that was made with a certain type of wood versus a 4x4 raised bed that has other stuff in it. You get groups of plants that all have the similar flavor from the same beds, even though they're different genetics. It might not be the same level of flavor or same level of smell, but there's similarities that occur in the different low growing environments. So I guess it's just terroir. But hearing you talk about it makes it just way more fascinating. The idea that you can inoculate pots. Because I think in my case, I think it's the FPJs and the JMSs being made from different stuff. Like some of the JMSs I'll make to inoculate beds might have neem and might have kelp meal and might have something else in it. And another one might have FPJs from cherry tree. I had the FPJ from the cherry tree I added to some container plants one year, and it turned all the pistils pink on all the plants that I added it to.
So that's interesting. I don't think it's, I mean, technically from a scientific standpoint, it is biased, right? Like you don't have any definitive evidence that this is, but at the same time, I think there's a lot to be said about anecdotal evidence and being able to repeat these patterns over and over. And my attempt was to move from that anecdotal evidence phase into a more definitive scientific
Science.
research, approach to it and publish research on that. Because I think this would be if you look at it from a medical perspective, right? And I've had multiple conversations with people over the years where they're like, this works and this doesn't, and I don't know why, and it seems to be very subjective, where one thing works for like same underlying condition, but one strain will have absolutely no effect or impact, and the other person that works very well for. And so it's like how these things that we're talking about, where inputs can make all the difference. To me, what I'm kind of extrapolating from all this is how we grow the plant. The inputs that we use can have dramatic end results in how, from a medicinal standpoint, how effective these strains are or not.
Well, anecdotal or not, from what you're saying, it never even occurred to me till just now. It's kind of like, you dumbass, why didn't you pick up on this? I've been hunting through which plants work for some symptoms that I use them for, and it never even occurred to me that, wait a minute, all the ones that end up working are coming from the same bed. And I'm thinking it's plants. I'm harvesting, and I'm working in lots of beds. But now that I think about it, when I narrow it down, take a large group down to the handful I would pick if I only had a few, they're all coming from the same bed.
Interesting.
That's fucking crazy to me. My mind is spinning right now. It's the hugel I built. The oldest hugel I have is oak logs I buried, and I added mushroom compost, a bunch of that. Regardless of what I added, the point I'm thinking is, if I go back and look at my notes, I think all of the top plants came from the same bed, and there's an underlying smell. I've talked about this a million times. It's stronger in some plants, but it's the plants that have that underlying odor that almost works medicinally for me before I even combust it or ingest it. And maybe it's different genetics that are causing that underlying biology to come out in different levels or different. I don't know if I'm sounding crazy or not, but it's fascinating.
You're in a safe space.
Yeah, well, and two, it doesn't sound crazy, because this is, what you're seeing and experiencing is what I've been seeing and experiencing as well, and trying to better understand it. Like, I've spent better part of the past probably decade trying to figure out what's going on, and a lot of it kind of started with that, vanilla cherry blossom, and losing that profile, but the genetics didn't change. Like, and I know they didn't change because I sequenced them before and after. Like, it wasn't some random mutation that occurred. The chemotype hasn't changed. It's identical, profile. So what happened? Like, something happened somewhere. And to me, it was whatever was taking place in the rhizosphere. It's funny you were talking about hugel beds, because that, we were talking about that, I think, a minute before you got on, and like,
I heard you. That's why I came on. I wanted to hear more. I wanted to ask you questions. I was driving and I was listening, and I've got so many questions for you. I don't want to derail. I'm trying to listen, but I apologize.
I think for me, like, there's a certain aspect of my research and breeding and what I'm doing that I have to do in an environment that is controllable, so that I can, make definitive conclusions about outcomes. But there's also an exploratory side where, I kind of want to just kind of go crazy and see what happens. And, hugel beds kind of came out of, just out of curiosity and interest, but also out of something I was exposed to growing up with my granddad doing them, and just not working and traveling and not being able to be in my garden enough to make sure that I had water and nutrients and all those things. I'm like, well, what can I do to make sure these plants survive? Well, hugel beds work great for that. If I don't have the time, place, space to set up automation that, like irrigation timers and blah, 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 all that. And I didn't. But a hugel bed works great for water retention. It works great for nutrient cycling and all of those things above. And the kind of cool thing that I'm learning now with developing these hugel beds, and especially incorporating biochar into those beds as I build them, is I can structure a majority of the microbial population, how I want to. I can steer at least the microbial population in the direction that I want it to go. I'd say, Peter, one thing that when we were talking about the things that I do to the hugel beds over time is lactobacillus. Like, I'm pretty religious about treating my hugel beds at least once, but usually twice a year with a healthy dose of lactobacillus solution. I've found that helps a lot.
I'm interested. Like, I'm pretty sure that when I make JMS, that there's lactobacillus in it just from the smell. Do you know from a scientific point of view if that's correct? Like that, what I'm talking about?
I would assume so. I've never, played it out any to look, but the smell is definitely there. I've made it myself.
It makes a huge difference. Yeah, that sweet bready smell, kind of.
Yeah, it's got such a distinct smell.
Like unmissable. It gets caught in my beard. I can smell it a day later.
Yeah, and so when you kind of know that smell, and you pick up on it wherever you smell it. It's kind of like learning to smell honey. If you've worked around hives and stuff, and you know what honey smells like, what a beehive smells like. You can smell one from a mile away, and you'd be like, "Oh man, you smell that honey!" And the person who doesn't know, standing next to you, like, "What are you talking about?"
I can taste the difference in clover honey versus like other types of flower honey. Myself, I swear.
Yeah, it's and a lot of that just comes from from learning. But going back to the substrate and the rhizosphere and what's going on, the wine industry, the grape industry makes a lot of money off of the terroir program. And I remember, California kind of wanting to do the same with cannabis because there is such an impact of that concept, the terroir concept on the plants. And we know this because we can see it from the same varieties being grown in different geographic areas outdoors. The cool thing with hugel beds is I think it would allow you to, because it's really difficult to kind of control your environmental influence on your plants if you're not in an area that's that you want to be. You might be able to look at some soil data from that region, see what composition of microbes are there, see what the substrate, the soil compositions are, and then build your hugel beds to sort of match those to try and reproduce some of those outcomes. Probably not going to be able to be 100%, but you might be able to get pretty close, which is pretty cool.
My experience, which is super limited, again, the hugels definitely extend the growing season with regards to cold. They extend it a long way.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, it's not even.
It's not a debate, in my opinion. Experience, which they extend it by months, by a couple months.
Yeah, the heat retained from the decomposition of the organic matter, the heat that's retained in the soil. Like we did some just fabric pots, like some 200-gallon fabric pots in between two of the hugel beds 2 years ago. I think it was maybe 3 now. And it was like just the difference was just so dramatic. Like overall plant health, the amount of labor for the fabric pots versus the hugel beds, then the quality of the flower and the product that came out. And those plants, when the cold weather started coming on, those plants that were in the pots, it was almost like arrested development where it stopped. Everything stopped. The plant started.
My experience is the exact same thing. And by accident, again, I was keeping things in pots so I can move them during hurricane season and bring them into a sheltered area. not have them killed right at the end of the season there, I started accidentally getting pots locking into the ground. And then I realized that the fabric pots that are locked into the hugel bed that grow through the fabric, like some of them eat the whole bottom. That's a real hack right there. Is putting them in a pot and letting the pot lock into the hugel. Then you can have the roots decide what they need. They can go for that hot spot. They can go for that cold spot. And you see a difference. Like some of the plants, all the plant pots would gravitate, the roots would gravitate one direction towards one area in the bed. And again, scientifically, I don't know what log was there or how much, what was there, but there's something biological that happened. In my opinion, it's something the biology is doing to regulate whether it's fungus or what it is. But I think
it could be, it could be plant signaling, and the plant roots are growing towards, plants will signal to each other like, hey, there's a bunch of nutrients over here, and so those roots are like, okay, cool, we're coming at you,
Do you find that the females grow better in a group with males in it as well? Like it seems like when there's males in the group in the bed with the females, that they all grow better, and then you whack the males right at the last second, and then the females even shoot off even more. That's also been my amateur observation in the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, because I'm always breeding something, I always have some males around usually, and so I have gotten in the habit of maybe. Usually what I do is keep the male in a container, but allow it so that the roots can touch the ground, like you're talking about. Usually a fabric works really well for that. Sometimes I'll even dig down 6 inches or so and set that fabric pot in there so I know the roots are going to grow into the ground. But yeah, I've found that we were talking about this. I was actually doing a consulting gig a couple of months ago where I was talking to these guys, and they were like, man, we got this OG cut, and it if we just grow one table of it, it bangs, like just absolutely performs incredibly well. But if we try to fill a whole room, we end up losing the room to herms. And they're like, we just can't understand why. And I'm like, well, it's the biological prerogative of the plant to reproduce. You put that many plants in here, it could be ethylene signaling. There could be a lot of other factors going on biologically, but the plant sense, hey, there's no male here. Just like if there's many other examples in the animal world where
fish for sure.
Fish, like they will
change.
They will change. And so this plant wants to reproduce. So I think when you are, and I would love, and I actually talked to those guys about trying to reproduce and do an experiment where we kept a male in the room. And, for them commercially, the cost of producing, with power prices and things is very high. But I was like, well, it'd be cool to do this experiment, put this, fill this room full up and put even just one male in the room and see what happens. My hypothesis is that the room's not going to herm out. We're not going to let the room get seeded, but that presence of that male is going to be such that it keeps those females from, there's a male there, so they think they're going to be able to get some pollen, whether you restrict access to it or not, and I've seen over the years how, at least the cultivars that I grow, perform when a male is around. They seem much more vigorous. It's again, it's one of those kind of anecdotal things that,
it's like they're dressing up, like they're showing off for each other.
We still have no idea how they're talking, right? Like we have hypotheses, but we don't quite know.
I suspect what he's saying also contributes to people having herms and tents and blaming it on light leaks and shit. Because I'm always saying, it can't be a light leak. I don't understand. I got light leak in all three of my shit and it won't herm out. Like that could also be a factor. Like, that's pretty cool. That's really cool.
And too, I've seen pictures of people with plants outside of like light deprivation greenhouses where light will shine on half of the plant.
The porch light shining on my plants all night for a whole season, and they don't herm. Like fucking spot.
Yeah, and so like half of the plant will stay in veg, but then the other half that's completely shaded gets fully flowered out.
Yeah,
and that's all. And those plants have not hermed out. Like they're
It's like the
And
lower branches on the large plants outside, they start finishing earlier sometimes than the tops.
yeah,
I don't like, they're obvious. I mean, well, that's really awesome, fascinating stuff.
but yeah, I think the hugelkultur beds in cannabis are, well, hugelkultur beds in general seem to be undergoing a little bit of a resurgence in popularity over the past couple of years, just because they perform so well, they last for so long, and it requires a bit of labor up front. But then once you're done for a decade.
Way less work overall. Way less work overall.
Less water, nutrients, all just across the board.
Less problems.
Yeah, less problem. And once you kind of get your garden built out, like if you design it right, like hugelkultur beds add an element of kind of architectural design to your garden in a sense too. Like they can be used as more than just a place to grow plants, right? Like you can do all kinds of things with them. And but I'm seeing more and more commercial scale farmers start to explore hugel beds as well.
This
That's
year,
probably
sorry, sorry.
no, go ahead.
This year, I deliberately have a bunch more potato starts, and I'm deliberately planting more potatoes in with my cannabis because those are the plants that they did really, really well with potatoes around them. I don't know why. You hear some people say don't do it, and also you'll hear professionals say don't plant brassicas as cover crop or ground cover around cannabis. But my experience, and I hear other professionals say that radishes are great, and that radish is a brassica to my knowledge. And like, so I question, like, is it environment that's affecting that? That's affecting those outcomes also. Like, like, do you have an experience with radishes and potatoes, for instance, as companion plants? Do you have an opinion on those?
You know, last year was the first year I did potatoes in one of my beds alongside cannabis, kind of as a companion plant. And I thought it turned out really well. I was kind of discouraged to do it. Like, like some old timers and stuff I know were like, oh no, you don't want to do that. It's going to, but I mean, I thought it went great. I got a bumper yield from the potatoes. I think some of the leftover spuds, it's going to be a good starch and sugar source for the microbes that are left over. I seem to notice a lot healthier earthworm population in that bed compared to others, at least around the potato sections. Like, so I haven't done radishes. Maybe I'll do some radishes this year, just because I've got some beds that are now 6 years old. It probably wouldn't hurt to put something in. Part of the reason I wanted to do the potatoes was to help kind of break up that compaction a little bit that starts to happen on those outer layers, as the beds get a little older. So I want to, maybe I'll do some radishes this year and see if I can. I don't know if it's too late, but if it's not, may try to do it and see how that works. I've not done that, but the potatoes went really well. So well, I'm doing it again in multiple beds this year.
Yeah, I'm on my third year of the same experience, and it started as an accident, like literally again as an accident. And to the person in chat that said stop interrupting you, Andy, I do apologize. I interrupted you a couple times. It wasn't intentional. That there's a little delay on my end or something. Yeah, I do apologize for interrupting your sentences.
Me? Oh, dude, don't. No worries, man.
It's been an enjoyable conversation. I gave my brother a bunch of a lot of daikon seeds to broadcast in his yard last year.
What'd you say? Radishes?
Yeah, sorry. Just as you guys were talking about radishes, I gave Michael tons of daikon seeds last year just to throw around to deal with compacted soil.
Yeah,
That was
I think it's a good choice for sure.
It was Harry Rose's suggestion that got me thinking on the radishes. He was talking, I believe that's who, and then someone else, another pro, said was saying don't plant brassicas with the cannabis, and I didn't. So I was kind of it's interesting again how you'll get exactly polar opposite opinions from pros that have far more experience than most of us, or myself at least.
Yes, I have
Right.
also noticed that.
Like lots of like I don't even know like I've only been growing for about 35 years. I don't know what these guys that have only been growing for 10 or 20 can do to just sort the information out.
Man, it is. I've been growing. I haven't been growing 35, but I guess this will be my 28th season, maybe 29th, somewhere in there. And there's so much information available now. Some of it is absolutely complete bullshit.
Most of it
And
is. I hate to say, most of it to me is.
yeah,
You got to
you
have a
know,
PhD to sort through what information is worth looking at, and a lot of people, unfortunately, they can't even fucking read.
Well, even so earlier we were talking biochar, and there are some people in the camp of don't do biochar, right? And other
They're
people in
full
the
of
camp
shit.
of do
yeah.
biochar.
They're full of
Well,
shit.
I think there is a reason there are people on this kind of kick of don't do biochar. And as somebody who's been doing biochar religiously for 20 years in cannabis cultivation and have more data than I can parse through on the results of it, I think the reason why people are mostly opposed to biochar is kind of twofold. One, I think they get poor quality biochar from some of the manufacturers that are out there. Um, I've gotten biochar samples from almost every major biochar producer in the country, and some of those samples will come where the wood has not been completely pyrolyzed, where I'm sitting there looking at like brown chunks of wood with some not even fully finished biochar scarring on the outside edges. And so that is a useless product for the most part. Um, I think the size of the biochar also has a big impact as well. Like you want a somewhere between like a rice grain hull and like maybe like pumice or perlite. Like you don't want these massive chunks of biochar in your substrate. Like you're shooting for a larger surface area. But ultimately, I think outside of the quality of the char people are using, I think the second most important factor is people will put raw biochar, just straight biochar into a pot, and then they see negative impacts and they don't understand what's going on. And what's happening is if you put raw biochar into a container with a plant, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see something negative unless you have an amazing soil mix that's almost too hot to grow a plant in, because that biochar is going to leach a substantial amount of nutrients, and it has such a high affinity for those different anions and cations in the substrate that the plant can't compete for them. And until that biochar has satisfied its chemical needs, so to speak, and absorb the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus and calcium and all of the other micronutrients. It's primarily a micronutrient issue more so than macro, but it will affect macros, especially nitrogen as well. The right way to do biochar is to get your biochar, put it in a container, mix you up a, kind of moderately strong nutrient and microbial solution, and soak that biochar in it for at least 24 hours, preferably longer, and then add that to your substrate. That way it's more of a source instead of a sink for the nutrients. Raw biochar,
It's like buffered versus unbuffered cocoa.
yeah, it's absolutely, but maybe even a more drastic of an impact on the
Like
overall. And
RO
then,
water.
yeah, and then different, and then, it's like, well, what about application rates too? Like I've seen people new to biochar try to add 30% volume to volume, of their substrate with biochar. That's a lot. Like I usually shoot for around 10%, 15% max. And we ran a bunch of trials like to see kind of what the ideal concentration or mix of biochar is per volume. And you're going to get the most results and bang for your buck around that 10 to 15% mark. I'm not saying you can't go 20 to 30, you can, but there's kind of a law of diminishing returns at some point. And that's close to that 25% mark.
So
And
sorry, what are you soaking it in? Did you cover that?
so my personal, well, I have a million different things I soak biochar in because I'm using biochar as the habitat for manipulating the composition of the species of different microorganisms I want to see in the soil. So I will tailor my biochar. I use that biochar as a delivery method to inoculate the substrate with the different, bacteria and fungi that I expect to see in the substrate. And that goes back to steering plants to produce new chemical compounds or to alter the ones that they do. If I was just going to provide a general recommendation on what to use to kind of quote unquote charge your biochar, my recommendation would be fish emulsion, kelp, along with mycorrhizae and Bacillus subtilis, lactobacillus, like a general purpose, like I would say down to earth's BioLive is a good one. It's a powder mix. You can just powder it in, mix it in, and then you soak in the biochar with some water. And if you cover that and come back in a week, you're going to open that up and you're going to see all kinds of growth in there. The mycorrhizae will literally turn that thing into a cake where you can, if you put it in a 5-gallon bucket, you'll be able to stand your biochar up out of the bucket and it'll hold its shape. And the mycorrhizae will be holding it all together. I usually will do also a little bit of molasses for the sugars, for the microbes. And then I try to mix my biochar has a naturally basic pH. So it's usually somewhere around 9 or 10. So I mix a little bit of maybe either citric acid or some kind of natural acidifier to get that pH up closer to like 7. But going back to, you're only adding in about 10, 15, maybe 20% of your total volume in each container if you're doing containers of biochar. So even if it's at like pH 8, the overall impact on the substrate pH is going to be negligible. But I really am a fan of fish emulsion, molasses, kelp, alfalfa meal works well. Neem meal is another good one. What was that? I used to use C90 as the micronutrient additive. That worked pretty well. I would do big, large batches. I get like a 2-yard super sack of biochar. I'd take and fill 2 45-gallon trash cans up and mix in the nutrients and then take a sump pump and just soak those bags with it. But if I was only going to add, if I had to just say, 3 things I was going to add, I would do fish emulsion, something like mycose or some kind of microbial, or not microbial, but mycorrhizae. Everybody kind of has their own preferred mycorrhizal blend, whatever your preferred mycorrhizal blend is. and a bacillus, some kind of bacteria. You don't want to just have fungus or just have bacteria. You want to have a combination of both fungus and bacteria in the substrate.
Again, I apologize. Yeah. Diversity seeming to be the key again. So you're making me think that inoculating my biochar with JMS, with a little neem and a little worm castings and a little seawater in it, it's ideal.
Yeah, it is. I mean, putting, if you have a vigorous living soil that's teeming with life and already going, adding 10% raw biochar is not going to be, you're probably not going to notice any, negligible effects. But a lot of folks who are anti-biochar are using something like Pro Mix or Sunshine Mix number 4, and they're running salts, and they don't add any kind of biology to the biochar or charge the char prior to putting it in.
It's almost like this damn delay. Man, I keep interrupting you.
It's not on my end. You're not interrupting me on my end, so I don't know if it is that way.
Good. I almost said it. All right. It's almost like it's almost like adding, like somebody could go and add, like they say from their fish tank, they go add the activated charcoal from their fish tank to a little pot of living soil. Like that activated charcoal, brand new, would probably destroy the soil. But if it ran through your fish tank for 2 months and built up nitrates and all that nitrifying bacteria and all that fish shit, then you added it to your soil, it would probably be like gold. So I can see it having like complete polar opposite effects also in application, like you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a way to inoculate biochar with fish tank water or water from an aquaponics facility or even from a lake, I highly recommend it. I've done some tests with that, and that is a phenomenal way to inoculate biochar.
Yeah, especially for a small home grower with just a few containers and they got a fish tank. That's a great way to use your old charcoal from your tank that you're getting rid of and whatnot.
Yeah, a slurry, even like we're adding some worm casting in with the biochar prior to anything that you can do to increase the active biology of the biochar prior to adding it to your plants is going to make a drastic improvement as opposed to just adding in raw biochar.
Does the analogy in my head, the analogy of like pouring RO water on a living soil pot is kind of like adding in an uninoculated biochar to a mix. It's going to strip it.
Yeah, it's just going to strip it. Yeah. Yeah, I'll never forget. I was still living in Alabama, and I was experimenting with different biochar inoculation mix, and I wanted to flush my plants. And I don't know how the hell I got the idea, but one afternoon, I was sitting there and I thought, man, I wonder if like deionized water would be good to flush with. And so I did a little experiment on one plant, and I had like 15 plants in this small grow room, and I had 3-gallon pots. And I flushed that plant the night before lights went out with that deionized water. And I woke up the next morning and that fucking plant, it was dead. Like
I did the same thing. The plant was dead before the soil dried. Like you put acid on it.
I couldn't believe. I was like, oh my God. Like, all right, let's not do that ever again.
I poured my air conditioner water on it, like the RO water on one to flush with, like that similar situation.
Terrible idea.
It's no bueno.
No bueno.
It's a solvent. It's not a fertilizer at that point. It's just a solvent.
Yeah, and it just it because it's so barren and it's so it has such a high affinity for all the other nutrients. It just it literally just rips everything right out of the substrate. And I think it's the shock to the plant more so than it is, like, oh, well, I think the shock of the nutrients being gone and the change of that nutrient gradient that exists, I think it just shocks the plant. The plant shuts down. It doesn't know what to do, because they don't experience that kind of stuff in nature, like in nature, rain falls, rain runs through percolates down through the soil. It's picking up minerals as it goes. And so there's never a situation in nature where distilled water or deionized water is, exposed to a plant.
It's not even good to drink it for us, really.
No.
It's not like that. So if it's not good for us to drink it, why would our plants want to drink it?
Yeah, it was.
Have you made biochar? Like on your property? Either of you?
Oh yeah, I make biochar almost year round.
Maybe that could be a workshop. That would be fun.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, you can make really complicated biochar kilns, or you can make them they're pretty simple. You can make them with some cinder blocks and go to Tractor Supply, or I'll order them off of, offline. You just get some fire bricks to try to, because cinder blocks will break down, pretty quick under heat exposure, flame exposure, but you line that inside lining with some fire bricks, and you can make because it doesn't take, like, that's the thing, is it doesn't take an enormous amount of biochar
right.
to do a lot of work.
I think, and if I remember some nuance, someone who wasn't all that into biochar, I think was fine if, like, you're making it yourself, but found kind of store-bought or shipped biochar kind of unnecessary to get a living soil system humming.
Well, again, it goes back to the quality of the biochar that you're using. I would one of the highest quality biochars that I have found is through Rogue Biochar out in White City, Oregon. The quality of their biochar is hands down. I've outside of what I make for myself, and Carbon One, which I don't know if they're still in business, but Rogue Biochar. And what's cool about their biochar,
Oregon Biochar Solutions, is that who makes
Oregon
it?
Biochar Solutions. Yep. So I was good friends with this guy Grant Sheave, still am, that used to run their operation there, and the biochar that they produce comes from sustainable resources, and they've gone through one of the big concerns about potential heavy metal contamination. And they post their tests available, and you can get tests from their biochar to see where heavy level limits are at. But one of the cool things about biochar that a lot of people don't know is biochar is used in environmental remediation to pull heavy metals out of soils. It has a much higher affinity for the atoms and the molecules of the heavy metals than your plants do. So if you're concerned about adding, say, heavy
metals,
kelp or other sea or water-based inputs that might contain some heavy metals, you'd rather that heavy metal get bound up by the biochar than your plant, because cannabis has a high affinity for heavy metals as well, but biochar will hold on to it much tighter. So, but their biochar is made from, renewable resources. I believe I'm not sure if they went through the OMRI certification process or not, but I've been to the facility many times where they make the biochar. To me, it's hands down. You can't find a better one on the market. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not, paid by them in any way. I'm just saying, if I don't have to buy their product because I make my own, but if I was in and around the White City, Oregon area, or in California, Colorado, or not Colorado, but Oregon, Washington State on the West Coast, that's where I'd be looking for sure. There's a couple of other good ones. There's I think it was like Redwood Biochar that was good. There was a good biochar company out in Colorado. We've got a couple on the East Coast, but I haven't found any that are producing super quality product. Like I've ordered stuff from like Vega. Vega sent me basically a bunch of wood, like 2x4 wood chips in a bag that weren't even, they were still brown. I wasn't impressed. Yeah. But making the biochar, I got a wood chipper, a PTO driven wood chipper for my tractor. And so I can choose the feedstock. Like I can use maple or oak. I usually shoot for hardwoods. I can adjust the screen on the chipper to change the size of the wood chip that comes out. And, I can control my feedstock pretty easy. I prefer oak and birch as feedstock for sure. And then, I'll usually make 25, 30 gallons at a time. And that's enough to, like 25 or 30 gallons of biochar goes a long ways.
No, I'm thinking like also with my brother, Connecticut kind of like compact, shitty soil.
Yeah, it goes a long way in improving substrate. We did a big test in field where we applied, I think we had 2 transfer truck loads of biochar we brought out from Oregon to Colorado, down around Durango. And we had a very high salinity content in the soil. We had some heavy metals in the soil. We were doing 100 acres of hemp there. And so we wanted to see what the impact of biochar would be on this soil with a lot of salt content. And we did a 10-acre test plot off to the side of the main field. And then we did a 10-acre test plot that was in the main field that was under the pivot for irrigation. And we did that in 2018 and 2019. And then COVID hit that next year and nobody really grew anything. But I got a call last summer from the farmer, and he's growing like alfalfa on that farm now for hay. And he was like, look at these photos. And the 2 10-acre test plots where we put the biochar, the alfalfa's like 5 times as big as the rest of the field. It looks kind of funky. But he was like, you think this is from that biochar? And I was like, well, like you know exactly where we put it. Like that's the exact spot, right? And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, have you done anything different in those spots since then? And he's like, nothing. And I was like, well, there you go. And biochar will last for hundreds of years, right? Like when you put it in soil, it's not going away in your lifetime. And the benefits only get better every year. Like if you guys do say like biochar on your farm in Connecticut, you'll notice benefits the first and second year, but every year it's kind of like hugel beds. They just kind of get better and better and better.
They do. They get lots better. Quick. They start. They definitely.
Yeah. And so one of the cool things too with the biochar, outside of just being able to have a healthy, it's supporting healthy biology in the soil, is the water retention. It's superior to perlite. It's superior to most other soil additives or amendments when it comes to water retention in the soil. And in a place like Durango, Bayfield specifically, where they're in the high desert and water resources are scarce. Like I remember in 2018, the first year we did that farm there, they cut everybody's water off in mid-August. Meaning nobody had irrigation water, which was, detrimental for most crops. We were fortunate in that we had kind of seen that coming, or the possibility of it. And so we dug a 20-acre lake or pond that year for rainwater retention, to store water to use in the event that they made that choice to cut the water off, which they did. But since then, even in the drought, speaking of this farmer, he's like, those, even when we have drought where most of the rest of the fields die, those 20 acres of treated biochar spot, perform incredibly well. Another thing I think, and I don't know if you've done with like your hugel beds, is adding decomposed granite, like crushed granite. I think that's works well in combination with biochars, but maybe not.
Like into rock dust size, or
Yeah,
doesn't really matter because it's just going into the land.
Well, the decomposed granite that I've used has been, I wouldn't necessarily say rock dust, but pretty small, like BB sized, almost like a BB, about that size, pretty 1, 2, 3 millimeter screened decomposed granite. It's on the OMRI approved list for organics, so long as you source it locally. There's so many granite mines across the country, it's pretty easy to find. But there's a dielectric component. Yeah, there's a dielectric component to decomposed granite when combined with biochar, creates a kind of a unique situation that occurs in the substrate that almost mimics what we're seeing for results with a lot of what people are doing with like this electro farming. And I find that really interesting. The electro farming stuff, I haven't really played around with that much, but I think I made this year some just for one-ups.
Shits and giggles.
Looking at some of the comments. Mycelium circuit board, yeah, for sure. And I think the mycelium play, well, obviously just based on research, but they play such a critical role in the communication from plants to plants. One of the first in-field trials I did with biochar, I charged the biochar and did the amendments and stuff with it. And I just went down, and every hole we dug to put a plant, we put biochar in. And over the next 2 years, between rows, we noticed mycelial networks growing. It spread all down the rows, long ways first, and then the mycelial network started reaching across the aisle, so to speak, and from row to row to form just a huge mat of mycelia in the field, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like mycelia is it's like AI for the root system. Like it's almost smarter than the plants themselves in communicating. Did I lose you guys? Hold on.
I lost my
There's
service.
Josh. All right, so I was not imagining that when I didn't hear anybody talking.
No.
Okay. I was like, or is it me?
No. I was our internet service has been kind of spotty lately for whatever reason.
I hear chickens clucking, roosters.
Sorry, I left the mic on when I walked away to get my drink.
No. That's good. Because it was silent before, and I thought I lost audio, but it turns out it wasn't me.
I'm gonna go back in and get my drink, my iced tea, and my water.
Nice. A little homemade
I want to
iced tea.
do chickens so bad, but we have such a bear problem that trying to do chickens it's I don't know what to do to keep the bears away.
Just have enough chickens to go around.
I'd probably leave them. I'd probably set them up where their coop's not enclosed, where the chickens can fly away at night if they get attacked, rather than leave them cooped up where they're stuck. I know it defies all logic, but I had to unlock my coop basically to keep stuff from getting in there and killing everybody. Now it's wide open. I might lose one or two birds, but the rest of them will be scattered all over the yard and clucking by the time, makes it harder.
You wake up.
Yeah, I hear them now. They wake up all the time.
When I was younger, my granddad, we had a big stall in our barn that was for chickens, and my granddad never shut the door,
I don't get them wide open. I hardly ever lose any.
Everybody I've talked to in our kind of area that has done chickens, they all keep them in a pen, and everybody I know has lost all their chickens,
All of them. You see it on all the chickens tips stuff. Like, what kind of wire do I use there's no wire that's going to keep a bear out, and there's no wire small enough to keep a weasel a rat can run through a hole the size of your thumb, and a rat will kill it. It's better if the chickens can flee or escape. Eventually, it's like you get the birds that get smart enough to haul ass. It's
one of the things I thought about was
go ahead.
Trying to build a little bit of an elevated coop or something like that just stays open for them to get in, but it's elevated enough to where it makes it at least a little challenging for anything to get at them.
That's how my roost bars are. Like
obstacle courses.
A bear would have, like, if or something like that heavy, would have to climb up a roost bar that probably wouldn't hold them, and it would probably, it's like, and it is up on stilts, but I'd be more worried about foxes and fucking possums. Possums and raccoons and foxes they're a nightmare. They're a
we
nightmare.
We got a lot of fox in the area too.
They're so smart. They're so cunning. Foxes are a problem. You need a dog. A dog will cure a fox problem. The right dog will. That's for sure. My neighbor's dog cured my fox problem. They got a German Shepherd on one side and a couple bulldogs on the other side and a husky behind me. So the foxes, they got an obstacle course to come through to get in my yard.
Yeah, I'm in a situation where I've got about, I don't know, probably 50,000 acres before on the backside before you run into anybody.
Wow.
So there's a state forest back there, and so it just, it's beautiful and it's nice having access to be able to get back there, but it gives the and then we live close to an orchard, and so the bears are constantly after apples, which you'd think would be enough, but
and some chicken. Apples and chicken sounds delicious.
Yeah, you probably need a coop and then need an electric fence. You probably just need electricity for that.
So do you use your chicken manure in your garden?
I put it in my compost pile, and then I basically keep adding that and the leaves and yard waste, and it eventually breaks down, and then they root through it, and then I just, once it breaks down, I add it to the garden. Sometimes I use a handful of it. Like when I make the JMS, I'll sometimes get like a little handful of worm castings and compost when I make it. And I guess that's where it fires the biology off and does all the work. It makes it easy for stupid people like me. If you just keep it simple, it's really hard for me not to listen to all this advice I hear. In the effort to learn, I get all this advice, and it's a lot of it. I can't discern from it. I have a really difficult time.
Well, you know, the KISS method is for sure a smart way to go. And one thing I make, like we were saying earlier, there's so much information out there. Whether it's all good or bad, it's hard to parse through what is and what isn't.
A lot of it works.
So-
A lot of it works. You'll have people arguing about this way is the way to do it or that way is the way to do it, and both ways work.
Both ways work.
That's
To each
another
their
thing.
own.
It's like the tool that works best for you is the best tool. Like some painters might not be able to paint without a brand new brush, but I kind of like the old ratty brushes with the paint chipping off the handles
Right.
that are warped in my hand shake. That's my favorite brushes. And it got a drawer full of brand new ones.
But what I would say to a lot of, especially, to anybody, whether you're a new grower, experienced grower, change one variable at a time.
That's good.
One variable at a time, and that way you kind of definitively know whether this is a good idea or bad idea. There are some rare instances in where a single alteration may be negative or deleterious, but in combination with an additional might produce a positive outcome. But those are really rare and few and far between. But yeah, just changing one variable is,
I learned
is a big deal. Peter, you guys have like a pump.
Sorry, say that again.
No, I didn't mean to cut him off. Go ahead. You were saying you learned.
I was going to say I learned the most out of frustration, and I finally did side by sides with a bunch of different advice, like different size pots and different nutrients and stuff with cuts all from the same mother plant. I think I had 19 different scenarios, and I got 19 different looking flowers.
Keep it simple.
Plant. And I was like, what the fuck?
Stupid.
Yeah.
And then Jadam came along, and I started looking at the Jadam and the KNF, and that was kind of out of a big base for not having any money to spend, but needing to be able to have inputs. And anybody that doesn't have spare change or extra cash to buy all the bells and whistles should definitely try the simple approaches first. That's,
yeah, because you can literally spend an absolute fortune if you want to, because they will happily sell you all the bells and all the whistles, and 90% of the stuff you don't even need.
They'll sell you. Like that's like I used the analogy this morning. Like you don't have the money to buy stuff you need for your family, but you're buying dividers to pop seeds when paper cups work. Like it doesn't make sense in my head. Like I'm not knocking the ingenuity people like and the convenience.
Oh wait, we're getting feedback. Or did you hear that feedback?
Yeah, I stopped talking because it was
okay.
I don't know what that was.
That may be on Josh's end.
Well,
Let me mute Josh. Check. All gone.
Josh might have changed the settings.
Check. Better. Yeah, I didn't know, like last time when I couldn't hear anyone and I was like, is it on my end or?
There is a slight delay for me. Like I keep catching myself.
Not for me.
It sounds quiet and I'll talk and somebody else, like.
Everyone's being very polite, waiting for the breaths in the in the conversation. Yeah, I keep forgetting what I'm doing.
I think,
go ahead.
Peter, I was going to ask, was it a pond? You guys have a pond at your place in Connecticut?
There's a pond with like a creek that kind of runs. So it's not stagnant water. It's like there's a creek that goes into it and on the other side too.
Right. Yeah.
There was that little waterfall
Right. That's a good setup for,
Now, as you were talking about this, and then he also in Rhode Island lives on a big lake. So I'm like, fuck yeah. That'd be cool
Yeah.
to do. So what would one need on site to do biochar making demo? Like I would assume one of it would be if Michael has logs on the site as the source input that are hardwood.
Steel barrels, steel plate.
Yeah. I mean, you can do, you can throw together a pretty rudimentary, biochar kiln. Like basically you need a way to generate heat,
Heat
like
with
with a
no
fire.
oxygen
But well, you don't even, so you can
or
use
minimal.
some small, like, I've seen people use like paint cans, or an old propane cylinder that's been cut open, the top's been cut off of it, and then they, seal the top. Like you need a way to seal off an environment from oxygen with the feedstock in it while still getting it up to temperature. That's where you like build the kiln out of, a smoker would work. You could actually probably do it like a meat smoker, kind of it would be
Yeah.
small, it'd be small scale, but you would be able to demonstrate the premise. And, there's a big difference between charcoal and biochar. And that's something else too. I think sometimes people accidentally end up using biochar or using
Charcoal.
charcoal. Like the leftover charcoalized briquettes from burning wood in your fireplace is not the same as biochar. Um, while it can be a source of carbon, um, the the chemical makeup is quite significantly different. Um, but yeah, you could do it with a small meat smoker and a couple of small containers.
What about like taking a little Weber grill or something with a top that you can close the vents on and setting it up on cinder blocks and building a fire under that? What do you think about that?
That could do. Yeah, you could take some like where the seam is. You could just take like some high temp tape and put around the seam to make sure no oxygen got in there, and it pretty much be sealed off.
Oh, okay. That's I gotcha.
Yeah,
So that's
work.
why the like a steel drum with the top off and a piece of heavy plate steel, like the weight holding it down on top, with a fire under that is a good option then.
Yeah, I've used that method. My granddad was a big
And
fan
you
of
could
that.
play it around the bonfire later.
This is what my grandfather used to do too. He had the big old piece of plate steel on top. But sometimes they would even cook over top of the bio or the whatever they were doing in there. Looking back, I didn't know what it was at the time, but
yeah,
it's kind of similar. They would both grandfathers and great grandfathers on two different sides of the family would put some form of wood ash or something back in all the gardens, and then one side would bury fish heads under just about every tomato start as he planted them at the beginning of the season. And the other one will put a raw egg in the bottom of the holes.
Oh, I not ever heard about the raw egg, but I've definitely seen the wood ash and the fish head and the fish. Some of my granddad, he'd go out and we'd go crappie fishing in the spring. We'd bring back crappie, and the whole point wasn't to eat them, was to put in the garden.
Yeah. That's the same reason we'd keep croakers and stuff that would normally throw back. We go flounder fishing, but we'd a lot of times keep croakers and stuff and come back and he'd bury them in the garden like that. But raw eggs, I have so many eggs that I would have eggs were questionable whether they froze or they got wet. And a lot of times I just dig a hole in the garden and throw them down in there. And I've noticed that a lot of times, like plants or whatever.
Plants are very happy.
They're very happy. Like a lot of seedling sprouts and stuff that kind of tend to come up. It does something. It does something. Probably gives them salmonella. That's what AI will tell you. Don't eat raw eggs.
They thrive on.
AI will tell you, don't give raw egg to your dog. Your dog will get salmonella.
That's the funniest thing.
My dogs all get raw egg and always have. They like, what do you do? How's the coat so shiny? She's got salmonella. Salmonella keeps the coat shiny.
Makes you wonder how humans survived all this time.
Man, how about
Raw
me
milk.
eating dipping eggs? I've been eating dipping eggs every day for years. That's probably why I'm so crazy. Damn sunny side up eggs.
I know.
Salmonella side up.
You know, there's a lot of beneficial microbes, bacteria, and stuff that is vital for your substrate and soil to be healthy. But if they try to tell you,
diversity seems to be the best resistance to pathogen load. Like diversity seems to have it has, I guess, multiple angles to fight it off. For theoretically, hypothetically, I guess.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing just with changes in climate and stuff, be it man-made or natural or whatever. It could be natural process cycles, but with that changing, we're also seeing that the diversity in substrate microbes are allowing plants more resistance to temperature swings and earlier frosts or later frosts, higher temps, lower water concentration, things like that. So it plays a big role in plants' ability to withstand environmental stressors.
I don't know if you heard me talking about burning out the stumps and using the stumps as containers, but I noticed again inadvertently that wood wall, like say 2-inch wide that's left, it acts as a good insulator in the summertime too against heat. Those pots don't get hot, or and it locks in. So that's kind of those plants. They don't tend to drop their leaves on the real hot days, like when it's 100, 102, 105 degrees. Whereas some of the others that are in like fabric pots or whatnot, locked in just on the soil by themselves, they will kind of droop a little bit from the heat or act a little, heat stressed a little bit more. Like
I even went around a couple of years ago. I was doing some fabric pots outdoors. Like they were black fabric pots, and I started seeing some negative effects from the temperature and started measuring soil temperature on that sun exposed side, and I was like, Jesus, this is like getting 140, 150 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no wonder. And so I went and took some sackcloth and put around all, and that made a huge difference.
Like you were talking about earlier, bury them also keep the heat off of them and to give me like a little puddle in the ground where water would hold a little longer. But then switching to the lighter colored fabric pots, that also helped a lot. That tan pot doesn't get near as hot as that black one.
Yeah. There used to be a company called what was that? I think it was called like Rain Bag. They had this like mesh fabric pot that was phenomenal. I don't know if they're still in business or not, but those pots were. I luckily stocked up on them. Somebody had told me they were going out of business. I don't know if they did or not, and they just got me to stick for stocking up. I bought a couple years worth of, and they're reusable, and they're UV resistant. And I mean, I've got a couple 200, 400 gallon ones that I've been using for, probably 5 years at least now. And I don't even bring them in. They just sit out there and in their spot. And, it's not easy to move around a 400 gallon pot, even if it's dry.
No. But they make even the smaller ones make great worm bins. Those tan pots. I learned that from Mr. Coot. Listened to him talk a few years ago, and like you can make a super easy worm bin. There's nothing more valuable than worm castings and homemade good compost and stuff. There is nothing more valuable. Worm castings will fix damn near everything. I don't know what it is about.
Yeah, rid of biology, loaded with nutrients. I really use worm castings, almost exclusively with my seed starts.
He's breaking up for stuff. Your audio.
Yeah, Josh, your audio sounds a little glitchy.
Oh,
Have you moved?
oh, yeah, I had to move for a minute. Gotta run uptown for a second here.
That's a great idea, man. Turtle, a burlap coffee sacks. That's a great idea for a reuse.
Yeah, I use the burlap on the outside of my fabric pots, and I mean, I never made a container pot out of one, but I guarantee it probably worked very well.
Yeah, somebody in chat was saying they get them from a local coffee bean shop and they get the sacks and make pots from it.
So you meant
All I heard was you, and then it broke
Yeah.
up.
oh man,
Me too.
it shouldn't be
now he's
that
back.
bad. I was gonna say
Now you're
you
back.
mentioned flounder and other saltwater fish. Do you live on the coast?
Yes, I'm in coastal Virginia. I'm in the southern Chesapeake Bay area.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I used to go do some deer hunting out on a couple of the islands out there.
The eastern shore of Virginia is amazing deer hunting. I grew up hunting in Exmoor County. I don't know if you know where that is.
I do.
Yeah, we had a farm for about 25 years in Exmoor on the seaside, Goshen, Virginia.
I know where Goshen's at.
Fucking God's
That's,
country, man. Absolutely
yeah.
God's country.
It's beautiful, beautiful place.
It is God's country. Yes, sir.
But yeah, I've always wished I lived a little closer to the ocean, because it's just stocked with such an abundant resource of
Yes.
inputs,
Just being able to get seawater to add to your water, and seawater's so beneficial for it costs nothing. It has everything plants need in it, or a lot of it anyway, micronutrient wise.
Yeah, that's like that. I mentioned earlier using C90 as my micro inputs for the inoculation of biochar. Basically that's what they take seawater and just evaporate the water off of it and use the leftover minerals.
So when I'm adding seawater and water soluble calcium that I've made from the eggshells and that stuff to my JMS bucket out here in the yard, I'm basically rednecking it up, just doing very similar kind of inoculation, or seemingly. I sure noticed the benefits of it. I won't stop doing it anytime soon. That's for sure. Just potatoes.
Do you go out and harvest seaweed and stuff to bring back for your mixes?
No, I just use what's here. I just use what a lot of times use dandelions and stuff like that from the neighbors' yards. They don't want to go pick all that stuff and let it ferment or break down and put that in the garden and stuff like that. I got one bed. I've been picking dandelions out of the front yard and moving them to the backyard. I've filled basically the whole bed with dandelions. I don't know how that's going to go. That might be a disaster. Or it might not. I don't know.
Yeah, I grew up drinking a lot of dandelion tea. So
they're real. The greens are supposedly like one of the most nutritious leafy greens we can get, and I need them. It just seems silly that nine out of most of the houses are spraying it with Roundup, and really, if you could just go and clip it and eat it, it's weird. It's odd.
It's a landscaper's nightmare.
Yeah.
But it's a beneficial plant. That and mullein. I use mullein a lot. I've started using mullein and making FPJs and stuff with it. It's a good bioaccumulator of micronutrients, and it works incredibly well. also really good for your liver and kidneys and lungs. So
I have mullein. I think there's
Yeah, I have a ton of mullein outside, and it's starting to flower, which I'm psyched about.
yeah, like all that. I have lemongrass and lemon balm and a few different mints and basils and stuff like that. And lemon, like I like the citrus flavored thyme and citrus, the lemon oregano and stuff. I like that, the citrusy side of things. I don't know what it is about it.
yeah, we're. I want to try to make some natural, like a natural pesticide using. I've been growing this like spearmint, and I had an old friend in Oregon, in Gold Hill, and his name was Tony, and his wife was from Greece. And her mom had brought over this like chocolate mint spearmint. It's a beautiful plant. I've still got it growing, and I want to try to make my own pest repellent using that spearmint, because nothing touches those plants, dude. I mean, like those plants I've never seen an insect bite on those plants, like where a leaf miner or something's gotten on there. Never. And I'm like, man, if I could figure out a good way to make this into a spray, or just even maybe move it, but it's so vigorous if you put it in a bed, like it'll just take over everything. So I'm reluctant to move it to any of my hugel beds, just because it outcompetes everything, and spreads so rapidly. That's one thing I've ever really done, I guess, is I haven't really made a lot of my own like pest sprays and stuff. I talked to some guys the other day that were they're doing trials right now growing, like 1,000 acres of hemp with the sole purpose of extracting compounds to use as pesticides, like natural, pesticides that are cannabis based, which I thought was pretty interesting.
So specific terpenes, or
well, there's certain plants in my yard that there's certain cannabis plants, and they seem to lean towards the old hazes that the bugs won't fuck with, and they'll eat something next to it. They'll eat the cannabis plants right next to it, all the pieces. They'll get usually, but there's some plants that the bugs won't touch. There's one nothing to do with them. Maybe that's something along those lines. Oh, I started to say though, there's an elderly Cantonese couple down in the neighborhood I live in, and they've got a garden in their backyard that will knock your socks off looking at it. And then they preserve all their seeds each year, and they got their rituals. But one thing they've got in their backyard that's interesting is there's this shelf that's probably got 15 or 20 different mason jars on it with tops, and it's got water and some sort of herb in the jars, and they just sit there in the sunlight, and they'll use the liquid out of those jars and spray certain plants. We don't speak the same language, so it's hard to communicate, but they use those jars of those herb jars that are just sitting there. So there's one that has nothing but orange peels in it. There's one that has
my mother-in-law does that. She also has ones for like cockroaches down by the floorboards.
Yeah. Their garden is the most beautiful work of art, and they're old. They're probably in their 90s, and they move real slow in the yard, and they're always out there early working. They're in the garden all day, and the garden is it's a masterpiece. It is so beautiful. They're always bringing me these fancy beans and fancy peppers and stuff, and it's amazing, absolutely amazing. I take them eggs. They love fresh eggs. They go crazy when I give them eggs. Yeah, so it's a good deal.
Everyone wins.
Yeah.
But their pesticide collection it intrigues me, and it's kind of along the lines of what you're talking about, making your own with chocolate mint or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of different things to do, for that. And I've been so many other projects and things going on, just not something I've had time to devote to doing at some point. I'd love to do it though. But well,
cool.
Peter, guys, I'm gonna have to jump. I've got a meeting I got to jump into here at the university real quick, and look forward to jumping on next time. And I'd love to.
Yeah, well, no,
talk
so yeah, thanks for coming. I mean, my main goal, well, one, I wanted to smoke and someone to smoke with, and you filled that function, but also so I have a lot of ideas for just yeah, we can have a fun Saturday in Connecticut.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think great idea to do some educational stuff. Let's connect and talk about some of that. Bring the nanopore down. Do biochar, do a Hugo culture bed thing.
Do it all.
Yeah, be a lot of fun.
A day
You guys-
chock full of educational activities with good weed, good music, good food, good people.
Yeah, I'll bring my
My
guitar.
kind of day. Nice.
So,
I
It's
support
really
that.
nice talking to you, sir. I appreciate you listening to my questions.
well, we'll definitely have to connect, and I'd love to talk more about Hugo culture beds because there's so much more to discuss for sure. And
Anytime you want me on, just Peter can get a hold of me. I'm down. If you're on, I'm in.
Sounds good. We all have a great afternoon, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. See you, Josh.
Take care.
My brain is got to work out.
Yeah, I know. It's nice. Nice talking to people like that. It's awesome.
I was like, in my head the whole time, I was like, we could just have everybody follow Josh around for the day as we go from like, we're going to do a biochar workshop followed by a greenhouse site selection workshop followed by a getting to know your breeding analytics tools.
You need to get Chad Westport on here one day, teach everybody how to do a hair flip.
Yeah, well, Chad is
The hair flip.
Chad is ready. Chad, I sent you the link. You could come on.
Where you at, Chad?
I do my hair toss. Check my nails.
No, don't let him on.
Baby, how you feeling? Good as hell. My daughters were into that song. That was in the rotation for a while.
I don't know what song that was.
It's well, sadly I can probably not play it. It's what's her name?
Marcus.
Someone in the chat helped me with she got in trouble or accused of.
No one else in chat's going to admit to knowing the song either.
All right, let me look it up. What was her name? Oh, I do my hair. Lizzo. Good as hell.
Oh, Lord. That's amazing.
When you have 3 daughters, ages 11, 7, and 4, there's a lot of top 40 music across the spectrum.
That's fun.
That gets put on heavy rotation for a brief but very long period of time. My youngest daughter has cats meowing, minions. Hold on, let me find this one.
Rusty ain't wrong. Rusty nails ain't wrong.
What is it that she lit? So I searched for cats meowing minion song, and the top result was enticing sound to attract cats for cuddles.
What? Don't let Zoli see that. I'll never fucking hear from him again.
All
That's
right.
high
It'll come to me at some point. But yeah, there's a oh yeah, there's Baby Shark. Now I was telling the story of I was a like a camp counselor for this study abroad program, and all these students stayed with a host family, and the host family got to hang out on the field trips we took in the afternoons. So like we went to a Red Sox game and sat in the bleachers, and probably went to like a museum in Boston, and but this girl, her dad had made her a cassette tape, and she brought her little boom box, and on the A side and the B side were the Macarena over and over and over and over. So one side was Macarena, 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 Macarena. The other side was Macarena, 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 Macarena. And she just played it the entire bus ride. And that's what it's like with my kids. Mostly my 4-year-old right now. Music. That would be a good play. Fazoli should put together that playlist.
Yeah, he's already. Can you? I cannot imagine what your algorithm was gonna be doing now. There ain't no talent.
Some easy listening music to get your cats to cuddle. All right, well, no, that was good because we got to start organizing this thing. So our little summertime proof of concept get together. Oh no. No to curating the music to make cats cuddle playlist that everyone can then go enjoy.
He's worried about his percentage rating. His percentage rating is already borderline enough.
Oh shit.
Don't ask.
Put this label on the wrong
Mambo.
All right, well, what was I gonna say? That sounds like a pigeon.
That's my rooster growling outside the door.
Okay.
And purring. I don't know what his deal is.
That sounds as bad as, but at least you could change the station. All right, let me do one last bong rip. What's has spring sprung in Virginia?
Oh, it's beautiful, yeah. It's full speed ahead now.
For good?
I mean, getting cool at night, but there's no chance of frost or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice. This is a beautiful time of year. Yeah, it's absolutely nice. Mosquitoes aren't really awake. There's a few mosquitoes the other day, but I haven't really seen any mosquitoes to speak of yet. Knock on wood. Mine like sumo watching fishermen.
Yeah, I've seen more mosquitoes in recent years in LA.
Yeah, today the weather's gorgeous.
That was a great bowl.
What was in it?
It was a bunch of this, which is purple haze,
Nice.
and then a hint of the homegrown Turkish tobacco.
Oh, okay.
There's
So
a
you mix-
lobster in the house.
Sweet. You mix the tobacco with the herb in the bowl. That sounds.
Oh, I sure do. It's
That
delicious.
sounds like if I smoked tobacco, I could see where that would be amazing.
Yeah, I'll go back and forth between kind of bowls with no tobacco and then bowls with tobacco. I like that for me, the tobacco can help hit almost like taste notes and profiles that I don't get out of just the flower.
I think coffee does that for me, kind of. I don't know.
Yes.
Coffee cleans the
You'll
palate.
just
I think
probably
coffee
have to
kinda-
remind me. Maybe via text. But not right now because I'll look at it now and then I'll forget later. So send me a text later reminding me. There are many. Actually, Rusty, would you be down to do a tobacco seed increase? I'll give you something I don't know much of. Because I can only grow one at a time here. The Good Lobster.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
You use that word gentleman loosely, don't you, sir?
Nothing gentle about these, man.
So, yeah, I was looking at tents for Connecticut because whether the sun is beating down on us or it's raining, in either scenario, it would be nice to have some coverage.
I wonder how many of us have like event tents. Like I could help bring a 10 by 10.
Well, that would be good. I definitely want to buy. I mean, I looked on Amazon. I can get a 10 by 10 for like $125. I figure having one on site. I was also looking at like the big party tent where you could fit like 50 people all with someone up front talking.
That'd be sick.
And then you can also pull the sides up, so it's like, oh my God, we're baking in here. Well, you just lift the sides up. It would be at the farm in Kent. Yeah, if you want a road trip up, we're thinking Saturday, the June 13th. I was thinking like a small one, and then coming back and doing a bigger one in July with more people once we feel confident in the ability to have lots of people who have to go to the bathroom with. I guess there's a downstairs and an upstairs toilet, but both toilets are in the house.
Somebody needs to bring a shovel.
I was thinking if there were like a composting, like a pea
Compost
pit,
seminar.
a pea pit. Maybe
I'll
mostly
bring
just for
the
pee.
bucket.
Do a human manure seminar.
Well, yeah, no, I was like, you could have like layers of like charcoal. You could make the biochar and then have the pea pit. You could have the charcoal filter pea pit,
I'm
now
speechless.
chock full of hot nitrogen.
I'm speechless.
Who do you have RSVP'd so far, Peter? I heard Josh said he was going to make it, I think.
Yeah, Josh and Bob.
Oh, right.
And then that's why I'm starting to. Yeah, and then with Josh, I figured if we went live, it would help other people also brainstorm. Like I was thinking if Alex is down to cook, kind of what, like Michael has a grill there, what would Alex need to bring himself? And then I'd kind of be psyched to have a pizza, like a wood pizza oven.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
So
Yeah,
stuff
that'd
that
be cool
could
if
be
you
that could just stay on site and be used for future events.
Yeah, that'd be cool if Chef Alex could would want to get busy. He's got the food terps on lock.
Pairing, he could start pairing.
Yeah, he's dialed.
Yeah, I like. How far a drive is that for you?
Maybe like 3 hours or so.
Okay, I was more like Corey, who was the 6 hour.
Yep. It's about the same either way. Like if I was going to go to his crib, it'd be the same as going to your brother's. It's kind of crazy.
Nice.
But it's not bad. I'm stoked. Definitely looking forward to it. Not too far away. Only like a month away.
Well, no, and that was why I was like, we need to get on top of this because the next time I look up, it's going to be a week away. And I won't have mentioned it to anyone.
Yeah, I wrote it on I wrote it on the house calendar. I'm there for sure.
It made it to the kitchen calendar.
Yeah, it is written, so it shall be.
You can strap the baby onto the what do you call the things in the front where their little legs hang out?
I'm not sure. Little sucker's already taking ramps. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
He's out of his mind.
So what are you trimming right now?
This is the Holy Communion.
Nice. Did you say is that a terpinolene dominant or something else?
0 terpinolene.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Terpinolene's an instant cull for me. So you'd be hard.
Yeah, I think you and Bob are at opposite ends of the spectrum,
but still very similar. But no, I like his Hawaiian sativa selections and a couple other ones I tried. But as far as for what I'm looking for in the garden, if I get that terp, it's usually an instant call. And it's kind of always been that way, which is crazy.
So what's the Holy Communion have, like flavor wise or smell wise?
This one's very deep, like deep, musky, like the basement side of Piff for sure. And I believe the lab tests usually show it's mostly myrcene with some osamine, and then peppered with some other shit, but dominant myrcene and osamine. This one has a lot of the cats that are older than me. They seem to like this one the most. And the like younger, newer smokers, or maybe people who didn't grow up with it at a certain time, they don't like this one. It's almost like offensive, where they'd rather have like the PC3 is like more like welcoming, or like, you know, just an easier, smoother smoke, where this one's like fucking, I don't know, you could just smell something's up with it. You're just like, what the fuck? Sometimes they just smell like trouble. I don't know how to describe what I'm saying, but
I know exactly
that know what they're
Somehow
looking for.
I understood that
perfectly.
Like people who know that they're looking for a big wave that could hurt you, they know what they're looking for. But like a novice surfer is gonna see that and be like, "Never, that's not for me." And it's like, it's almost like that. Like people that want it, they know right away. They
I
can
look
smell the
dangerous,
trouble.
but it's makeable, and if I make it, it's going to feel better than that other one.
It's the one, yeah.
That's the one. I might cough a little bit, but oh man, I wish I knew what terpene and I wish you. I know I do. I just got to put the two together so I can have the conversation. Because I never. Like you could put your nose on some of my jars and be like, "That's you could probably name a lot of stuff easily. I don't know which is which. I just know they're similar.
You just know it smells good in your nose.
What smells like pine and lemon? Like, is there one that smells like pine and lemon cleaner?
Pinene, limonene.
It's piney.
Like everything in there.
Would smell like pine.
I feel like the terpenoline's probably coming through on some of the hazes. I suspect that might be the one that almost has like an aroma therapeutic property for you, Hall.
Like almost like a eucalyptusy camphor kind of.
Yeah, I have a.
Well, that's like the Tom Hill is very terpenoline-y.
I have a sneaking suspicion that's the one that's super medicinal for you.
Yeah, it would make sense. Is it harsh to smoke, but super stony?
I'd say that's different for each person for sure, but I could see how that one could have like it's such a like I don't want to say potent odor, but it's like it's got properties to it where I could see like that correlating with the aromatherapy because it has like the way it goes into the nose and into the lungs before smoking it is very distinct. Whereas like
it's almost like clears your sinuses like a eucalyptusy kind of thing, but it doesn't smell like eucalyptus. It has like a mix. The ones that I like the most. Yeah. But the one that tastes like grapefruit, like that, it smells just like grapefruit, but it makes your mouth taste like you chewed on a bitter grapefruit rind, and that mouth coating lasts for a half hour.
That's awesome.
It almost burned. It's not like it's like pleasant and unpleasant at the same time. I don't know how that even works, but.
Yeah, I feel like some of the aromas are strictly external, but like I feel like strong batches of terpenoline, they go into your lung when you just smell it. Like I feel like it just clears you out almost.
There's definitely correlation there. Yeah,
it's vibrant.
I don't like I said it. I think I've said it to Tony or maybe even to you, but like the plants that'll work good. That I know work for me medicinally. I don't know if my mind already correlates it when I smell it, and it makes me think I'm getting a relief just by smelling it. But it actually feels like I could breathe and inhale some of these plants without even smoking and get instant relief to a certain extent. Like opens your nasal passages and everything. It's like I don't know though.
Oh, wow. SLF. Yeah, no, I like it's like trying to articulate either like the effect, the taste, the smell of something and how it makes you or like what it does to you to other people. And then sometimes other people are like the exact same thing happens to me or like it's unique to you, but yeah, I applaud you for trying to explain what you were explaining.
I can hear my words being minced as they come out of my mouth. Blubbering here, but
Fried Piper, who works? Oh yeah, Crybaby, yeah. Yeah, he's I'd be down to reach out to him, see if he's down to come on and talk. Yeah, I've always wanted, like my friend Raymond was into fragrance formulations. And so just getting people who can dork out on the olfactory senses.
I would love to have that terpene sniffing set. You know, the jar with all
Yeah,
the.
and
I
everyone
would
has
love
everyone
that.
has yeah, that would be amazing.
Because then even you can maybe open like 2 or 3 jars at the same time and smell them in conjunction, and then one at a time. Like you could do all the different. Yeah, that would be amazing. Yes.
Kelp Wilson. Is Kelp the first name?
Kelpie Wilson.
Oh, Kelpie. I wish I had more iced coffee. I do have a little more coffee. Hold on, I'll be back. Let me fill it up. I'll be right back.
I need some more coffee as well.
I just refilled my iced tea cup, and normally I put half tea, half water, but I just went straight with tea, straight caffeine and ice.
It certainly is hard to articulate all the aroma and flavor nuances that I found myself like coming up with new terms as we were just talking there, you know? And it's like always searching because we don't have words. It's not like we grew up, you know, like the English language isn't around like, you know, fucking smoking shit like all the time. Like, I don't know. So we kind of like, I don't know. It's definitely hard but fun to try to
The funny thing, like a perfect example of how hard it is to articulate and how stupid I realize I am is I had that big jar of what I call the grapefruit one that I like the best. And I knew I loved it already, but I had no idea how to explain the smell. And my son came in the building and I was giving him different jars to smell. And he put that one to his nose. And as soon as he opened it, he's like, it smells just like grapefruit. So it's just like a jar of grapefruit that you open in the fridge. And when he told me that, I was like, oh, duh. But I didn't put it together until he said that. Like, I was like, it smells kind of like lemon, kind of citrusy. I can't quite, but it burns my mouth. And it's like some grapefruit. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Like I chewed on a damn grapefruit rind. And I'm enjoying the pleasure of the grapefruit rind smell, but I'm having my mouth have a bitter coating that I don't know if I like or dislike. But I can taste it, and it's distinct. It's numbing.
I've been
there's a hot pepper. There's some hot pepper terp in a couple of the haze plants. It burns my mouth just like pepper.
That's
like,
cool.
It literally, it's almost like a sobering effect. I don't know if it's desirable or not, but we'll see.
Or when you get the wasabi effect in your nose.
Yes, and mouth. Like it burns. Yeah. The grapefruit one kind of burns like wasabi. It's kind of like a bitter burn kind of, but it's not like that peppery. I might be losing. I might be high.
Is that a baby chicken I hear, or a bird of a different type?
It's a baby chick. We had a couple moms pull off the old sneaking hatch. We got one with a 9-pack, and then I got 2 mothers with 1 chick. They hatched one, and now they're fighting over taking care of 1 chick together. And that chick keeps trying to go over and join the other mom with the 9, and then that mom keeps getting in fights with the other 2. It's the fucking chaos at the baby chick daycare. It's really funny to watch.
So is that one chick totally traumatized?
She's also like a week and a half younger, and I don't aside from having 2 mamas, I don't give her much chance. But she does have 2 moms, and they're guarding her like bulldogs on the side of a meat.
She's being smothered with motherly love.
Yeah, 2 badass moms. They're not, they ain't no slouches either. They're mean. Pretty funny. the mom, the actual mom of the 9-pack is a baby of one of the other 2 mothers from last season. The other one raised the mom that has the 9-pack. So it's pretty funny.
Wait, sorry, say that again. The dad is one of the mom's babies from last year?
The 2 hens that have the 1 chick between them, those 2 hens, one of those is the mother that hatched the other hen that has 9 underneath her right now that are a couple weeks older. So she's completely dominant over the mom that has 9 chickens. So it's kind of when her little chick goes over to the other ones and she tries to defend them, it's funny. Like she's
because it's against her own mom, who
and her other mom, and her mom and the fight is over before it starts. Like she keeps scattering the other 9 chickens and getting hers back between her other girlfriend, and they head off again or whatever it is they're doing. I didn't realize they had a real egg. I knew they were broody and they were setting on some wooden eggs, but I didn't realize that it was I didn't realize they had a real one in there with the wooden ones. I kept pulling the others, but I missed one, and out they came with a chick. But the other one that has the 9-pack, she came out of the bushes with 10. I had no idea she was even setting. She was hiding from me back in my old shed in the corner. She was hiding, and she came rolling out with them. She did a good job. She's a grade A keeper hen. Yeah. She's a keeper.
16 ounces. Ugh. Yeah, that's crazy. The pecking order dynamics, and then also the lifelong motherly abuse mentally ingrained into the daughter.
In this case, this one
sure,
definitely.
There are many women who can relate.
Yeah, in this case, it's definitely the mom. And granted, the mom in this case is bigger and badder in every regard. Like it's not a match. Yeah.
Oh, she's bigger than her own daughter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's a boss. She's one of the boss hen. Like she's one of the hens that nobody really like. All the other hens don't. You know, there's a few hens that kind of walk and.
She's all breast meat.
She's a bitch. She's a fucking bitch. Basically, like she's like a trailer park hen that's ready to fight. She's ready.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, she's a bad bitch.
That's my girl.
Like trailer park.
That's what I'm saying. Those are the ones that the rats and the cats like. Those are the ones that the rats and the cats catch hell from. So they're worth keeping around. I say rats and cats, meaning like they go after predators, where a lot of them just fucking split, or just sit there and be stupid and get killed. Feisty.
Yeah, I find it crazy that a rat can take out a whole, or does take out a whole.
They routinely take out entire coops. They routinely over time take out chickens.
But to me, the interesting part is like the complete overkill. Like one chicken would be enough for the rats, but they're like
they don't even eat the chickens.
Right, no, that's my point.
It's fucking weird.
It's like orcas and whale, right?
Yeah, not many animals kill just to kill.
Like weasels kill to kill. Foxes kill for fun. They eat also, but foxes, I've seen a fox just waiting and plucking like bouncing around like a puppy and plucking them off when they're coming out the coop.
Wolves, humans, house cats.
Humans will kill for.
The list is long.
Cats definitely do, don't they? Cats are definitely killers.
But cats try to give them to us, though, right? So they're like almost, and then we're the ones who waste it. They're like, why aren't you eating this mouse that I just dropped in front of you?
I tell you, my dog my son's dog will definitely kill a squirrel for fun if she gets her chance, or a mouse. She kills mice for fun. Hates them. That could be, I guess, because she's seen her daddy trying to swat at him and wants to help get rid of him.
Travis, do you want to lead us in a rendition of Mouse in the House?
It's a song.
Mouse in the house, mouse in the house, hurry, 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 mouse in the house.
Mouse in the house, mouse in the house, hurry, 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 mouse in the house.
Mouse.
We could do like a motherfucking duo, but I don't know the lyrics.
Itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout.
Water spout, water spout.
Classics.
Watch him out. Tony says he's a mammal that tends to smoke some fella.
All right, looking for a box.
I'm a plant killer. Does that count? Not for fun, just for incompetence and lazy, lack of discipline. But it's not for fun.
Not having any fun while
So I do tend to make very inappropriate jokes about it after the fact, though. That's kind of fun.
Wait, what are you talking about?
How I kill plants, not for fun, but just for
wanton death, but not for pleasure. Not for
pleasure, from inconsistency and lack of discipline. It's definitely not from lack of grow tips online. That's definitely not from that.
All right, let me do one more rip of the bong.
One more.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna roll up, sneak a couple puffs, and I gotta start getting to cooking up some din din.
And what's on the menu tonight?
So you must know chicken cutlets growing up over here, right, Don?
Like chicken parm?
It's like that, but without the sauce, pretty much. Like just like a thin,
Yep.
So I do that, but like little small pieces almost. So it's almost like homemade.
But do you like
nuggets,
beat it?
much.
Do you beat it?
So that's some people do over here, some don't. I am not a believer in that. I pretty much, when I got it in the breadcrumb, like I'm almost doing it manually then, as opposed to like with an anvil or some shit, So I do get them flat, but more like the hand press.
Do you egg wash it?
No, I don't want double bird on there. To me, that's always been weird to me. I just use milk. You have to soak it a lot longer to get it soft. But for me, it seems weird to use the meat and the embryo. Like I want to use milk from a different animal. I don't know. It just always seemed weird to me. But most people over here do an egg wash for sure.
I never even thought about it being chicken on chicken. I just thought about it as making a batter stick.
It does, but I don't know. I don't like the double animal thing about it. I don't know. I like milk. I'll do.
You soak the meat in milk for a little while.
You'd rather have it from the nipples.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Just a different animal. I wouldn't even care if it was egg from a motherfucking goose or something, or
goose egg wash.
Duck or something. I'll wash
eggs.
it. A duck egg wash? Now we're fucking talking.
We should start a big fight on which egg wash tastes better, goose or duck. Have a big show, fight over which egg wash.
You could have goose fat and duck fat.
Both.
Mix the two for entourage fat effect. Just the right amount of biochar enhances the flavor.
Just the right amount of breadcrumb.
No, I think what I like about beating it down is I'm not a big fan of chicken breast.
Yes.
But if it's thinner and it's not like one big, like a thick, dry bite, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm more, pretty much 5 nights a week I'm cooking chicken thighs.
I was
Yeah.
just thighs all the way for me too. Chicken thighs the best.
I'm a
the best
thigh
part
guy
of me.
all day
Thighs
long.
all the way. All day long.
It'll be thighs for this style, but usually breasts for the cutlet. Like if I'm doing a long one, but for the nuggets, for the small ones, I'll do the thighs. But when you soak it in milk for 6 to 8 hours or even overnight, like it changes the breast.
Softens it up.
It's all good, especially if you use like a fatty milk. Like it goodens it up. But I agree with the thighs usually, but not for the cutties because you just can't make them big enough.
I got thighs for flavor is what I like about the thighs. They just, man.
I think it's just better, like, human food. Like I'm feeding plants gets you thinking about what you give yourself. And like if the thigh is like better nutrients, I don't know. That's where my mind goes to most of the time. But I like the tradition of the breast for the cutlets just because like shit you grow up with type shit, But feeding the plants
Yeah,
made me all different.
like family style Italian cooking in college. My roommate Greg Renza's mom, I would like go hang out and I would cook dinner with her. So we go through like the chicken parm, the eggplant parm, the bolognese, like the pasta sauces, the marinaras.
That's how you learn to eat good food. Grandma's that cooking with grandma's for sure. I never heard of boiled eggs in spaghetti sauce, but until I seen the Italian grandma cooking it, this big sauce pot. The kids would fight over who got the egg.
If you did it, like a soft boiled egg.
It was an egg. It was a boiled egg in the pot. And like the egg was like they literally like Nick and his sister would fight over the egg. I thought the egg was disgusting. I almost didn't want to eat the sauce when I saw there was an egg. I was like, and I'm kind of sitting at the dinner table being polite to go to eat the spaghetti. And then when I tasted it, I'm like, holy fuck, this is good. This ain't like my mom's spaghetti. This is spaghetti. Yeah. Yeah.
Did I go? I know I did. Hold on. Did I?
Are you trying to remember if you took another bong hit or not? I was.
Yes.
I don't think
Yes.
you did. And I don't think
I don't think you did yet.
Let's just take another one just in case. Let's just keep doing that. Till you remember.
It wouldn't hurt.
Nah, if
Although I gotta. I always think that I can multitask and go live and like get some work shit done, and then I don't get any of the work shit done.
Impossible.
You can do it, but it makes the broadcast suffer. That's like how sometimes here, like I'll jump up at the end when I've already been working for a while. But see, I've already naturally now I'm rolling weed. I'm not getting shit done anymore. It's hard. But if you just focus on the chore, you can, I feel, but it's almost like watching the show instead of actually like producing or interviewing or anything like that. You almost become like a passive participant, pretty much a viewer.
That's why I like when Josh monologues, and then I can go do. No, I think if I were like earlier, I was pulling seeds, and Mr. Burns, what's happening?
What's happening?
You guys go too?
What's up, dude?
Roll weed.
Roll weed. That sounds like Mike.
You're also rolling weed?
I think I'll join for the dab.
Oh yeah.
Are you going for a dab?
Damn crackheads.
Yeah, I think having a smoker on the farm would be cool.
You gonna be able to make it over to the party, Burnsy?
I think you're
You are-
muted.
My shit fucked up.
Yeah, no, I was muted. Hell yeah, I'm gonna come by.
Fucking right.
I can't wait. You're coming down?
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah. Yo, were you saying that I can get that light?
That light's yours, brother.
Oh, dude, you want to bring it down to the farm?
If I'm not able to drop it off sooner, for sure.
Oh, don't worry about it, because I still gotta get a 4x4 tent to replace one of my 2x4.
Okay. If you don't need it for a month, then yes.
Yeah, no, I don't need it for a month.
But yeah,
They're all in flower anyway, so I can't kill the run to fucking change it over to a 2x4 anyway, because they're all in trellis. So.
It seems like a pretty good light though.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be perfect for a 4x4. Like, that thing's gonna produce like a motherfucker. You're a fucking man.
Nice.
Need beer and blunts. I can vibe with the blunts, not the beers. Cheers without the beers. All the homies would say. I can't fuck with the alcohol no more. Not for me.
Me neither, Burnsy. Me neither.
Dab time.
Crackhead.
What are you rolling up over there?
I think the PC3.
What are you rolling?
Dutch.
Oh, Dutch.
Always. Or almost always.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. I do love the Dutches. They're hard to find around here now.
Yeah.
I like literally can't. I don't know of any gas stations around me that I can get them. It's funny though, if I go up back on the other side of the state towards home, dude, there's not a gas station I can walk into where there's not a fucking Dutch.
Yeah.
Honey Dutches, fucking Dutch, dude. I mean, vanilla doesn't matter what the fuck you want. They got all of them lined up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is so funny how like certain stuff once you get to like a localized area, it's fucking there. It's everywhere. It's so crazy. It's cool.
I don't see them at all over here because I'm like I'm like 15 minutes from the farm, so like it's weird, dude. Like you don't. I don't know.
Like,
Seems like nobody smokes them out here.
It's like an interesting social experiment. It's like, where does the culture end and begin again? Like, where is the store that starts
Meriden.
selling them? And like,
As soon as I hit Meriden from here, go up Route 9, dude. As soon as I bang into the valley, as soon as I hit the valley, it's like Dutches everywhere.
All right, one more.
I'm gonna go check in on the crew real quick, but I'll be back.
A lot of action going on in the hen house. Oh, that's what I was looking for.
So fuckers. They keep raiding me.
What, the chickens?
Yeah, well, the chicks keep getting in the greenhouse. Yeah, little teeny chicks. They're small enough to weasel their way underneath. And just now, for the first time, the mom was in here with them. What the fuck? But I'm about done with them being a threat. I'm almost got it sealed up. I've been bullshitting online all day.
All right, this is gonna drive me crazy.
I don't think I have a signal. Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
Can you hear me, Major Tom? This is Major Tom to ground control. Did we lose him? Or did he think he lost us?
Disappeared.
I didn't know if he was talking to me and I wasn't answering him, or if he was just talking.
I think he was just talking.
Okay. All right. I am trying to find. God, where would I have put? Oh, haha.
Forgot.
And he's back.
Yeah, the greenhouse won't let me take my computer out there. Doesn't look like.
Oh, I remember now. I remember. All right. I think James is going live tonight with Buttheads. Let me look up Buttheads. Where are you? I see a Buttheads Growers Club. No, I don't know. Anyway, that's happening tonight.
I couldn't imagine.
I think they're talking mushrooms.
Oh, jeez.
And actually,
Quite a
the
while
person
since I
who
threw some mushies.
we could change that next month. You could have a mushroom adventure through an enchanted Connecticut forest.
I don't really know if I'm able to eat them anymore. And even with like macro doses, I was having issues with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, you mean even with microdoses?
Not like macro, like not like a micro, but not like a full dose. Like just trying to like feel them slightly instead of like full on like dripping. It would I would still have issues with them.
Peter at futurecannabisproject.org.
It's all alleged, Mr. Toad. It's all alleged.
Oh, for the email? No, yeah, no, I'm gonna, I think, chip away at these. So we have some albino penis envy.
What I grew last time. Oh, they were
Some,
casters, I think. Cheers, DP.
That is a good lunch break.
Check.
Are you in the kitchen?
Check, baby, check.
What?
Fuck no, I'm getting stoned now.
Goddamn
Oh, nice.
time.
I checked in and sustenance is not needed yet. Papa Bear gonna get a puff
Yeah,
Papa
my 4-year-old leads such a pampered life, and I'm like, I'd like to live that life.
Must be nice.
People still wiping your butt.
I have it as like an ongoing joke. Like, who's gonna actually teach the wipe? You know, and I'm like, pretty much how, you know, like a full blown demonstration, like up on stage, you know, lighting. It's like there's only one way to really get it. And I know one thing, it's not going to be me. So that only leaves one other.
Fucking Travis. So funny.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers. Although I think I might already be hot. I went to hold my lighter up to get it center screen, and I was looking at Burnsy's window, and I was wondering why the lighter wasn't lit, and it was I was looking at the wrong window. God damn, dude. We don't look a lot alike, and you ain't got none of this shit hanging down from your chin. That's a fucking stoner move, dude.
No, it would take me a very long time to get that beard, man.
My name is Jeff.
I get sick of it long before that.
Well, I've been sick of it the whole time.
Mine bushes out the side too much.
Fucking shaving sucks worse.
Is yours
Plus,
on
I
the
get a lot
blonder,
more than my
orangish side?
I get a lot more money in my tip jar
Mine?
when I sit outside the
Yeah.
grocery store with my cardboard sign with the beard than I do without it.
The beard is much more orange than anything else. Like these days.
I'm gonna get a sign right. I'm not helpless. I'm just lazy. Please donate. Sit in front of the grocery store. Like I feel like people.
You know what? I might throw you a buck or two for honesty,
I would
bro.
contribute to that. I would go, like here, man. Here, there's fucking $5. Like, I only got $4 myself, but here's $5. Fuck, that sign's
I had
good.
a homeless guy roll up to me on a wheelchair one time, and he goes, "Hey, man, you got like $3 for a 40?" And I was like, "You know what? I fucking do. I got you, homie. Fucking honesty paid you today. Here you go."
That's the guy asked me outside the store.
You know what? You deserve a 40. There you
You
go.
got any money? I said, I don't have any cash. I said, what do you need? You want me to get you something from the grocery store? I was thinking he's gonna say like a can of soup or something. And he's like, and you name some blunts. And I'm like, all right. And I went and got the blunts with my grocery store order. I asked for them, didn't know what they were really were. And the lady behind the register got real mad at me because apparently he gets other people to go get his blunt wraps. He didn't want to
He knows
sell
exactly
them
who
to me.
you're ordering them for.
Yeah, she didn't want to sell them to me because he begs from people. And I'm like, lady, you might be right, but go ahead and ring them up. And I took them to him. And I told him, I said, she's calling the law on you, dude. He's like, what? I'm like, nah, man, just give me a heads up. Here's your blunts. You'll walk around the block.
I thought that was our secret, Hall.
Yeah, I caused a big stir up. I got like a lot of differing opinions, and like because, and I can see the point of women that are scared to walk past this guy to get in the grocery store, and like, but that like, yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I got him the blunt. I got him the rest. Like fucking here. I even got in trouble from my wife for telling her when I told her the story. I was telling her about how big the bitch behind the counter was for telling me I couldn't buy blunt wrap for the homeless dude out front. And then she explained he's probably.
But what was the concern? Because once he gets them, is that he's smoking them so fast that he's coming right back to get someone to get more for him. Like,
no,
it's not like alcohol where he's gonna get super drunk and like.
No, it's not about
throw up and
at all. It's about the way he approaches the people going in and out of the grocery store. Like comes up on them, and and begs them for all this shit. And apparently he's been run off before because people have complained. But that's not of like that. Really wasn't my thinking at the time. I was like, yeah, I know. I can see both sides of the story completely. It's weird.
So yeah. he's aggressive in his asking.
Big time. I could definitely see where he would be intimidating for like I wouldn't want him walking up on my wife and kids if they're little, when she had little kids, and like I after like thinking about it, yeah, actually I see that.
Can you buy me some?
Well, when I went back out and told him he should leave because the lady behind the counter didn't want to sell them to me and she was going to call the cops on him, he got really mad and like really instantly aggressive with me too. And I'm like, hey, buddy, I said, I'm just giving you a heads up. You carry your ass, like kind of like, and I could see like that. So he's probably had interactions where it was kind of different. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I could see it.
Who's a better candidate that needs a blunt in the world? You know, we talk about
he needs a wrap. That's what I'm thinking. Rotten. Get the guy a blunt.
To fucking cool that motherfucker right out. Give him
this bitch out. That's right. That's right.
I mean, seriously, in a sane community, we'd be feeding him herb all day long to keep the violence down. You know,
I would have handed him a bucket full of herb if I would have happened to have any in my car, but I don't carry it on me. But I would have handed him a bucket full of herb and a blunt wrap.
He's looked
Get this man medicated ASAP.
You know, that's how crazy we are. He's looked down at for asking what he genuinely needs to probably just not be violent all day. I mean, what the fuck?
I know. That's the conundrum, and it's not my position to judge. It's my, like, I shouldn't be doing no judging. I ain't nowhere near perfect enough to be judging nobody else. You know. And I asked what he wanted down at the grocery store, and he told me straight up. And I can fucking spend $1.42 on whatever. I forgot what kind they were. It was a blue wrapper. There's only 2 of them in it. Blue something.
Was it a blueberry flavor?
No, it was a name. It was like Blue Tomahawk or Blue Woods or back. Like I don't remember what he said. Something maybe with the
Backwoods.
Maybe Backwoods with the blue wrapper. I don't think it was Backwoods, but something. I can't remember the name of
it. Yeah, discerning taste.
He did. They were the cheapest ones on the shelf too, though. But they were the ones he liked, so that's the ones he wanted.
Oh, what size is that? Oh, medium flat rate.
I forgot the fucking name of that thing. What are those things called?
Have you seen him since?
No. I don't go up that side of town very often to that grocery store. I usually go to the other one, but I usually go to the grocery store at the.
All right, I probably did not have to use a flat rate on that.
Hey, Bernsey, can you hear me, brother?
Yes, sir.
What are you looking for, like the rest of the 4x4? I have a bunch of 4x4 raised beds. If that was going to be your strategy.
No, not for the not for the fucking 4x4. I was probably gonna go with 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, because like
Not
with
the single bed.
yeah, like I have a 2x2 bed in one of my 2x4s, and like I love it. Don't get me wrong, but I could never move that fucking if I had to.
I get it. I totally get it. If I figure I'd ask, though, I'm trying to think of like what the rest of your set would be. What the
It's
fuck
gonna
I
be
would have.
20s. Yeah.
Shit.
It's definitely gonna be 20s. I love the 20s, man. They're great. And I even started like I used last time when I made the 2x2 bed. I bought the cheapest fucking 2x2 fabric bed I could find with PVC included, and I was like dope. And then I sewed in. I used the bags from the last fucking bags of Build-A-Soil that I had bought, and I cut them down and made them into the liner and sewed them in with fishing line, like deep sea fishing line, so it was super thick and like hard. And fucking, that's what that 2x2 is.
Badass.
Because I was like looking around for them. I'm like, dude, even like the grassroots fabric pots for like a 2x2 bed is like, it's pricey, man. You know what I mean? I'm broke, so I'm like, well, let's see if I can make this thing. It worked out really well. I kept all the other bags of like Build-A-Soil that I bought, but I'm done buying the Build-A-Soil because man, then prices went sky high.
Sorry, the prices of things went sky high.
Yeah, like their soil. I was buying Build-A-Soil like religiously, except for like some of the Stonington blend I'd used, and then like I've used a couple
From
others
Coast
too.
of Maine.
Yeah, I've used a couple others too, but the Coast of Maine is decent. It's a little hot, but
That
works.
Stonington blend, if you mix it 50-50 with the Bar Harbor, it fucking rolls, man.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the Bar Harbor's only $20 for the bag, so it's like you got to have something quick.
The Bahama.
I might try that next time because the Coast of Maine's decent, but
We need
I
a
do like-
correct pronunciation on that.
I like pumice better than perlite, so I've been trying.
Pumice is too expensive here. I wish I lived where it was cheaper. That would be ideal, but
yeah, because it's like with like some of mine, I have 20s that are like 6 years old, or like 5 years old. Yeah, 5 years old, and they're still churning and rocking. But some of the perlite is definitely raising to the surface and shit, or like the other ones that are full on fucking we call pumice aren't raising at all. Nothing's coming up to the surface or anything. So
the lava rock's working well for me. Even it's a little heavy.
I can see that.
That's not ideal, but it works. It works really well. So if you bust, you break it down as much as you can. It works really well.
Hell
Cheap
yeah.
as shit. Super cheap, and it's permanent.
It
like
is.
It doesn't crush like the perlite.
Yeah, no, and I build my beds out with like smaller kind of like gravel basically in the bottom, and then sand, and then I put like silt and clay on top of that, so that way it's all it's like the Layton style horizontal systems.
Yeah, that bottom layer in the outdoor pots of lava, it keeps the ground critters from chewing into it also.
Yeah, and I was just thinking like I use the rocks.
Wall. They literally run into a rock wall with it.
Yeah, I use the rocks, but the lava rock down there would be dope because it would retain more water down there too.
Mm-hmm. Good thinking.
Okay, that could be pretty sweet. But I've always used the sand and silt and shit, and I've never really and clay, and I've never really had to like worry about like silica or like any of that kind of shit. It seems. But I am always just pouring on ferments too, so.
I'm gonna go check on the quad again. I'll be back.
I'm too high to do this right now. All right. Why don't we wrap it and oh, nice. All right. Let's do this and then we'll wrap it. Oh, you're muted.
That's that sour. She climbs to the sky. Toad sent you one of those, right?
I think so. I gotta
Yeah.
check tomorrow.
The Gabby sour. Watch it, because it climbs to the sky. That's
What else is in there?
One of the lemongrasses. This is number 6. This is a beautiful plant. This is the one that smells like funky nasty. It's less of the lemongrass. But it was an outlier. I kept it around for a while, but that's the last time it'll be in here. Yeah, I got to get the rest of those seeds too. Yeah, but I got to get the what do you call it? The vials for them. I didn't want to just send you a bag of seeds.
No, you can set. That's fine. I have no problem. Usually, if I can just scoop it up, it's not a big deal.
All right, I could. Yeah,
But if you want to put it in vials, that works too. But no, you don't need to.
It's a flamethrower. I'm hoping this one will be done by the time we go. It's really quick, so by the time we all meet up, hopefully she'll be ready.
Oh, nice.
This one is.
What's in there?
The flamethrower. It's the one from Green.
Yeah.
Green. Yeah, Green.
Yeah.
This
Andy.
is the cut that I for a while. It's a beast. It's such a pain in the ass, but it's it's so funky, just like orange, like cat piss. It's like the most rank. Like even right now, it's already just so funky and nasty. I love this plant, but it is a pain in the ass to grow. It just fills everything, no matter what you do.
I'm excited to smoke it.
She's a bit of a bush. Oh, dude, this one's so funky. This one's awesome. I love it. I almost got rid of it, and I said something to my buddy about it, and he's like, "No, don't do that, dude. That's like one of the best ones you got." And I'm like, "Oh, come on. Now I got to go home and clone it."
That's funny.
Yeah, I can't wait to smoke this one again.
All right. I'm gonna go deal with kids and post offices.
Much love, homies. Appreciate you guys.
Dinner.
Much love, everybody.
Same. Thanks for having
Right.
me up. Rotten, Burnsy, good to see y'all.
Later.
Good to see you too. Peace.